Think for yourself. Question authority. Think for yourself. Question authority. Throughout human history, as our species has faced the frightening, terrorizing fact that we do not know who we are or where we're going in this ocean of chaos, it has been the authorities, the political, the religious, the educational authorities who attempted to comfort us by giving us order, rules, regulations, forming in our minds their view of reality. To think for yourself, you must question authority and learn how to put yourself in a state of vulnerable, open-mindedness, chaotic, confused vulnerability to inform yourself. Think for yourself, question authority, think for yourself, question authority, think for yourself, question authority, think for yourself.
What's up, guys? Welcome to the live stream. Thank you, everybody, for coming in. We got a lot to talk about, as you can see here. Let me actually switch over to this really quick, if I can. I actually wanted to start on this one first. Okay. How's everyone doing today? So, Switch 2, we have a ton of things to talk about. Welcome to everybody in the chat. I hope you're doing well. I'm not going to have time to shout all of you out. There's a lot of people, so I just want to let you know that I do appreciate all you guys, and appreciate all your support on all the videos. It's doing really well. So, yeah, we have a lot to talk about. So, the reason why I said what I said in the chat is that I want there might be some angry people only because of the pre-order situation. People want to complain. So I'm not going to engage in that conversation. We are going to talk about that a little bit, but it's not going to be like, if you want to talk about politics or something like that, this is not the place for you. Okay. So there's going to be no politics discussion. We'll cover a little bit of what the pre-order stuff we can do, but, it's not going to be like, we're not going to be going down like that big rabbit hole of the if, ands, or buts, or maybes for information that's not confirmed yet by Nintendo. I'm one of those kind of people that doesn't jump off a cliff. You know what I mean? Like, for a maybe. We don't know yet. So my point of view is, don't get upset about something that's not confirmed by Nintendo yet. We don't know. So you guys, that's just what I suggest. I suggest just being chill and wait for Nintendo to take care of these things and figure that out. But I will say this, and I will point to people to come back. I'm not going to re-explain everything as we go every single time somebody asks a question. This will be a live. The VOD will be on the channel. You can watch it at the end. But yeah, any politics, religion, that kind of stuff will not be tolerated. I'll remove you in the chat. Sorry. We're going to talk about Switch 2, Metroid Prime 4. This is a positive, going to be a very positive stream. A lot of tech stuff we'd like to talk about here. We're going to talk about Cyberpunk 2077, Street Fighter 6. Things are looking really good for Switch 2 on a technical standpoint, and we'll explain why. It's going to be really, really good. We got brand new footage to review for Metroid Prime 4. We're going to get to that. We're going to talk about all the spec stuff for Switch 2, the power ranges and everything. That's really, really good. So yeah, the Switch 2 is we had that direct just a few days ago, and it was a little bit underwhelming for a couple reasons, but it was better afterwards with the treehouse, I would say, only because there was a big problem with the live stream that they did on that direct. It was just not. It froze on us, so we actually had to go watch the UK one, and it totally screwed up the feel of the direct for me personally. But afterwards, after everything was revealed and we went over stuff, it was really, really cool and everything. But yeah, it's just very fun stuff right now with Switch 2. We'll do a Q&A when we're done going over all the information. We got a lot of stuff to cover, a lot of videos to kind of watch together here, and kind of go over the info. And so yeah, we'll get into that. Q&A is going to be at the very end, okay? So if you got to save your questions for the Q&A at the end. Trust me, I'll get to as many questions as I can, okay? Yeah, and appreciate all your comments. Yeah, I've seen lots of graphics comparisons. We're going to go over that stuff in this live stream. If this is your first time at one of these live streams that I do like this, I think you're going to really enjoy it. We have a really good time on these types of live streams. This is not a gaming live stream. We're not going to play games. We're going to be talking about tech stuff and Metroid Prime 4 and lots of cool stuff. So, yeah, it's going to be really good. Questions at the end, okay? So I think you'll find the stuff that we cover here is really interesting, okay? So yeah, if you like my tech videos that I do, this is times 5, because we're spending a lot more time on stuff. Okay. Let's see. So yeah, let's get into it, okay? Hello, everybody, by the way. Thank you all for coming out. You guys are all great. Appreciate it. I do have some mods in the chat. I think Olivia Maxwell is here. Materia Masters here. You guys can help take care of any of the bad actors that if they do pop up. Usually nobody is that negative here, so I do appreciate you all, okay? Yeah, please do hit the like button for me. Let's get it over 100 likes at least. We already got over 200 people here. Smash the like button. Use your psychic powers to hit the like button. I'm doing great. I'm excited for Switch 2 and all that good stuff. Windows 11? No, I'm on Windows 11. Oh yeah, no, I am on Windows 11. What's wrong with Windows 11? Oh, you mean like the media player? Yeah, it's because I'm doing I'm streaming the video from my second PC. Because I'm watching this. We're gonna watch stuff from my gaming PC. And I'm using my network to actually stream the video from my streaming PC, so it's easier for me to navigate that way. I think you said something about that before, didn't you, right on my last stream? But yeah. All right, Switch 2. Switch 2 leveled up with NVIDIA AI-powered DLSS and 4K gaming. Yeah, and here's NVIDIA. They like to talk tough, right? And so they should. They got the best technology out there for graphics, and so you really couldn't ask for something better for Switch 2 at this point. I was rooting for AMD to get something going years ago because they were doing something impressive with Steam Deck, right? So you got to think, and there was no NVIDIA powered brand new handheld. Since the Switch, it was all AMD stuff, so I was like, well, maybe AMD will have something cool, but AMD basically is very much behind on AI upscaling technology. NVIDIA has the best possible stuff you can possibly wish for. So, and I do own an RTX 4090, as many of you know. I tried to get a 5090. Speaking about price, right? I'm the last guy that you want to look to complain about prices, really, because I'm at that point in my life in gaming where I'm going to get the best if I can get it. And the RTX 5090 is a $2,000 to $3,000 graphics card, and I was trying my best to buy that. Call me crazy. Back in late January, I was not able to get it. So yeah, any of the price stuff with Switch 2, you're not going to find me complaining much about it, and there's nothing I can do about it. And but I'm going to be buying it day one. I'm a content creator, and obviously I buy things that make me happy. So if this makes you happy, if Nintendo gaming makes you happy, I can't see why people wouldn't buy it. This thing's going to sell out. So obviously, but we'll talk more about that after we get done with the tech stuff. Thank you, Oscar. I see you, Oscar. See you all you guys. Yeah. So, the Nintendo Switch 2 unveiled April 2nd takes performance to the next level, powered by a custom NVIDIA processor featuring NVIDIA GPU and dedicated RT cores, ray tracing, and tensor cores for stunning visuals and AI-driven enhancements. Yep. This was made on a custom GPU, it says, right? And NVIDIA is powering the system on chip, so it's completely being done by NVIDIA, obviously, and their partners. We think it's Samsung, right? Samsung was the one who's making the chip, but they don't talk about the CPU at all here. And unfortunately, I do think the CPU is going to be the weakest link of this console. That's just how it has to be, because to have that low power consumption and to get the most out of a portable system, it's going to have to be a CPU that's really low, not low performance per se, but low on power. And just ARM CPUs are just not quite, they don't do open world stuff as well. They just don't. It's impossible at this point, as x86 CPUs do. But we'll talk about that as we continue. So the AI and ray tracing for next level visuals. We saw some of that already in the trailers, and they looks really good. Okay, so yeah. So back when we in the last video I did on Thursday night, basically like Friday into Friday. More power, smoother gameplay. 10 times the graphics performance of the Nintendo Switch. Now, I went ahead and edited that video I did because I mentioned 4 teraflops, and I don't think that was the correct thing really necessarily, because you can't, it's hard to measure like Maxwell-based GPU of the Nintendo Switch to an Ampere-based GPU for exact 10 times, level of performance. So I went ahead and took that 17 seconds out of that video. I'm happy YouTube allows you to do that, by the way. Sometimes you make a video, any content creators out there will know. You make a video, you say a bunch of stuff, you're excited about it, and wait a minute, I probably shouldn't have said it that way. I probably should have edited that out. But back in the day, you couldn't edit your YouTube videos once you post them. You had to delete them or just live with any mistakes you made. So I took that part out. But I don't think anybody should be upset. Why would anybody be upset with 10 times the graphics performance of the Switch? We did have, some of that leak stuff come out about unconfirmed leaks, by the way. We don't know 100% for sure the clock speeds of the Switch 2 GPU. Once we find that out, we'll know exactly what the teraflops are. But NVIDIA doesn't do teraflops. They don't talk about teraflops anymore. They talk about performance gains. So this is in line with what NVIDIA does with their GPUs. They talk about how much more performance you will get from their new GPU. So this is the PR speak that's in line with what Jensen Huang does when they talk about their bleeding edge new graphics processors. This will give you such and such performance. They're working with Nintendo though, so they're not good. This is not a lie. I'm pretty sure this is the truth. They say 10 times the graphics performance of the Nintendo Switch. Nintendo Switch 2 delivers smoother gameplay and sharper visuals. Um, and this is cool right here too. The variable refresh rate VRR via NVIDIA G-Sync in handheld mode. Is this the same? Is this the same? I mean, no. Basically, this is what is being used on monitors for PC. I don't really recall any handhelds using G-Sync. So that you got 120 frames per second LCD panel with vivid display and HDR for the Switch 2, which is really, really impressive. So when we did the live stream of the Direct, I was like, uh-oh, this might be more expensive than we're expecting. This is before we knew the price, because they said 120 frames per second VRR G-Sync basically on the display itself. I'm like, uh-oh, this might be more expensive. So, but this is going to come in really, really handy for developers. They're going to be able to get away with a lot. The Switch 2 is going to be all about the visual tricks, guys. That's just the way it is, because they got to use AI upscaling, they got to use VRR, all those tricks to give you a smooth gameplay experience. The key is that for the user, me, to not see, like basically to not see the problems. Like the problem with Switch 1 is that you had a lot of games that where it became distractingly bad, right? So you would play a port on the Switch 1, say, was it Sonic Frontiers, Hogwarts Legacy, some of these really, they're not necessarily bad per se, they play, but a lot of these things look so terrible on your big screen TV that there's no reason to play them, because they're having to change the game so much and take out so much graphics. The game is not the same anymore. You can't enjoy the game. That was what the problem the Switch 1 had towards the end, especially. A lot of ports were simply getting neutered and just cut, like all the, like the grid. Yeah, sure, the Switch can run everything as long as you remove the graphics from the games. Yeah, sure, no problem. That's not the kind of port that port that I want to play on the Switch. So the Switch 2 is extremely impressive, because we're going to be getting games that do not have these compromises. Yes, you'll be getting games that run at lower frame rates, maybe, or lower resolution and frame rates, but then you got these other tricks that kick in, which is DLSS, which greatly enhances the image quality, which we will examine here in a second. On the Switch 2, I already have examples of it, and we have VRR. So you have the option to go as low as 40 frames per second to get a 60 frames per second look, basically, like not necessarily a feel. Like your input lag will be better, of course, for a game like Cyberpunk at 60 frames per second versus 40 frames per second. But is it better than dropping below 30 frames? And is it better than not having VRR? Yeah, of course. If you have VRR on your display and you engage it on your, the Switch 2 panel or on your TV, it's going to look smooth. It's going to look like 60 frames. It may not feel like 60 frames exactly, but it's going to feel better, a lot better than 30 frames. I hope that makes sense. So it's really, really exciting. The possibilities, we're already seeing the possibilities of this. And we're gonna get into Metroid Prime 4 too, by the way. Just hang on. I'm excited, really excited about Metroid Prime 4. We're gonna get into all that footage. We gotta talk about the Switch 2 stuff first, though. This is a console we're gonna be playing games on for the next like 8 years, maybe more. Who knows? This is gonna be a crazy generation. This might, despite the price controversy stuff, this still might go down as the biggest selling console of all time when it's all said and done. We'll talk about that though. So yeah, Switch 2, very impressive stuff. So a bunch of games were announced, right? I will have the links to most of these videos. There's some videos that people did, comparison videos of games. We have gameplay footage of Cyberpunk 2077 Ultimate Edition on the Switch 2. We have Street Fighter 6 on the Switch 2, graphics comparisons with the Xbox Series S. But yeah, so Switch Cyberpunk 2077 on the Switch 2. I'm really excited to play this game because we've been talking about Cyberpunk on the Switch 2 for the last I think year or so, at least. And this was the game that people were saying that's not going to run on Switch 2. That's never going to come out, or you'll never have something that looks good. And here it is. It's right here. And the really cool thing about Cyberpunk 2077, about this port in particular, is that if you remember the back in the day with the Switch 1, you had ports on the Switch 1 that people were calling miracle ports. This is gameplay by GVG YouTube channel. They off-screen footage of them playing Cyberpunk 2077 on Switch 2. And yeah, I see you about the Matrix demo. If it can run this, it can run the Matrix demo. Yeah, definitely. So, Cyberpunk 2077 on the Switch 2. The cool thing about this port on Switch 2 is that they got this thing up and running. This build that they're showing here, work in progress, says right there, does not reflect the final look of the game. They got this build up and running in 7 weeks. 7 weeks. So this is not a miracle port. This is a port, a quick port, actually. So, that is really impressive, because this thing just runs on the Switch 2. They put it on there. Here it is. And this is a part of the Phantom Liberty. This is Phantom Liberty here. Okay, so Phantom Liberty did not run. Let me go back here really quick. Let me get something else ready. Phantom Liberty did not actually run on PlayStation 4 or Xbox One, Xbox One S, or Xbox One X, or PlayStation 4 Pro. And the reason why it didn't run on those consoles was not because it was like an optimization issue. It was literally because the consoles could not run them. So someone made a statement saying that on Twitter, because I've been posting a lot on Twitter and talking about this stuff, but they were saying that, hey, it was just an optimization issue and they moved on to other consoles. But here's CD Projekt Red's statement about that. We can confirm that Phantom Liberty is the only planned expansion developed for Cyberpunk 2077. We made the difficult decision to develop it only for PC, PlayStation 5, and Xbox Series X and S, as the scope for the expansion makes releasing it for previous gen consoles technologically challenging without compromising the player experience. Okay, there you have it from CD Projekt Red themselves. They did not port Cyberpunk 2077 Phantom Liberty expansion to those consoles because it would be too technologically challenging without compromising, sacrificing, changing the actual game to get it to run. So that brings us back to Switch 2, and here it is, 7 weeks. Yeah, sure, here it is. It just works, basically. Obviously, I'm not a developer. It's not that easy, but 7 weeks is ridiculous to get the game looking like this on Switch 2. So it seems like, it seems like they Cyberpunk, or the CD Projekt Red devs, have only had dev kits for less than 6 months, And this is the build they got ready in 7 weeks. They may have had it only for like 3 or 4 months. Who knows? But this seems like something that they got up and running extremely quickly, and it's graphically impressive. It runs at pretty much a lock 30 frames per second docked. They said they're targeting right now 1080p docked and 720p in handheld mode. But they have said they're working on DLSS to implement better performance. 40 frames per second in VRR mode and performance mode for Switch 2. That's what their targets are right now. I'm willing to bet that this is actually going to be patched later on, and they probably will eventually get to a 60 frames per second mode on Switch 2 and patch it in later, maybe months down the line. Just because they just got the dev kits recently, they got this up and running so quick. So I'm willing to bet they'll have like a 60 frames per second mode later. And the reason why I say that is because Xbox Series S launched with the next gen update, even though all they added was ray trace shadows on PS5 and Xbox Series S and X. They added the game launched at 30 frames per second on Xbox Series S, and it was like ranging in between 1080p and 1440p for its resolution. And they didn't add a frame rate mode, which actually isn't even a lock 60 frames on Xbox Series S. They added it like months and months down the line, the performance mode to the Xbox Series S version of this game in a patch, and they added FSR too. So, and it runs between 50 and 60 frames per second at like 800p to 1080p on Xbox Series S. So this is extremely impressive for Switch 2. If you're not impressed by this, then maybe Switch 2 isn't for you. But you're going to be playing this on the go. You're not going to get a compromised experience. You're getting the full fat Cyberpunk 2077, and it looks really good. And we have a graphics comparison. Like I said, please support these other content creators. Sometimes these guys get mad when people take their content and repost it. I always put links in the description of my videos, so just know that these content creators put in a lot of work, so support them. I'll have the links in the description when we're done with the stream. I'll update it. But in my latest video I did on Thursday, I talked about this graphics comparison between the PS5 version, even PS5 Pro, versus the Switch 2 footage. And you can tell it runs smoother on those other consoles, but the actual image quality is pretty decent, I would say, for Switch 2. Like, you don't have a ton of artifacts on the screen, and I'll show you how bad Cyberpunk 2077 looks on Xbox Series S in comparison. It looks shimmery and just like really there's a lot of artifacting. The issue with these consoles is that they don't have AI upscaling with their upscaling technology. It's all software based with FSR. So you're going to be getting games that will upscale, but they are not going to be actually upscaling very good. It'll look better than it would at those lower resolutions. It'll look better than 800p on Xbox Series S, but you're gonna have a lot of artifacting, shimmering, and like pixelization that you'll still notice. The whole goal and point of having DLSS on Switch 2 is to have it look good enough without being distractingly artifacty and noticeably bad image quality. The goal is to make it look sharp while upscaling from a low resolution image, and that's exactly what we're seeing here. And I know Digital Foundry said there's no DLSS, but there's some information out there that they were saying they are implementing DLSS into this game for Switch 2. CD Projekt Red. Also, that was a trailer that Digital Foundry was examining. It wasn't actual. They didn't actually have their hands on the game. And man, and I hate to say it about Digital Foundry. I respect their work a lot. They do a great job, but those guys are not they're not professional developers, and they make mistakes like everyone else. And I would not always take everything they say as, like God's word. So take it from what the developers say. Take it from what the actual companies say about what they're doing. Just, when you're reviewing trailer footage from capture devices, it's hard to make a concrete judgment of what games or what resolutions they're running at. I mean, you can estimate a lot, about what resolutions are they're using. So yeah, just keep that in mind. Guys like Digital Foundry, they're reviewing trailers. They're not actually reviewing hands-on with the actual system itself. Trailers can be modified, resolutions can be changed, frame rates can have stutters in them because of how the games were captured on a capture device, which I did notice, by the way, in some of the treehouse footage that were being captured. There was some stutters here and there that you could tell was their capture device and not the actual games. Like even in Metroid Prime 4, there was a couple like stutters here and there, and it was like intermittent. You could kind of tell it was their capture device. So yeah. Okay. Yeah, this is the comparison by CYCU1. Very good YouTuber, and he likes to do comparisons between pretty much all the consoles. Does a great job. So make sure you subscribe to him. Appreciate his hard work on that. A lot of these guys do these comparisons really quick, so it's really appreciated that they do that. All right, now Street Fighter. All right, first of all, before we look at Street Fighter 6 on Switch, on Switch 2. So, Street Fighter, we talked about this. I think over a year ago, like a year and a half ago, and I was bringing out this problem with Xbox Series X for the past 2 years on these streams. Xbox Series S. This system is compromised with its RAM. Straight up, it doesn't have enough RAM for a lot of these games. You have a lot of games that are missing texture detail on Xbox Series S. So let's take a look at this really quick. We're gonna play it, and we'll talk about that. So Xbox Series X visual cutbacks. Let's see if I can hear this. Oh, I think I have it muted. Hold on. Got to be careful with how you do this stuff here. All right.
The Series X using replays, which wasn't possible in the demo. The RE engine scales back a lot of detail to make 60 FPS viable on this smaller 4 teraflop machine. It's 1080p on left versus 4K on right, of course, but I think the more distracting issue is the textures and the presentation of fine details like hair. Series S has, alas, the distinction of having the worst quality textures of any console release, including even PS4 and PS4 Pro. Materials on characters, the skin, the clothing, all rendered with low resolution assets, and it's not simply the drop to 1080p causing it either, it's the content itself, the assets, especially viewing all these characters up close. Pair that with the obvious dithering artifacts on hair, like Manon's flowing locks, and it's a pretty...
Yeah, I mean, obviously they're zooming way in for this, but the difference is clear. Now, go to the PlayStation 4 version.
But on the plus side, base PS4 and by extension PS4
versus
Pro
Xbox Series
surprisingly use high quality textures compared to Series S. So let's switch to a comparison between base PS4 versus Series S here, and notice how on character models, in comparison directly, there's a clear advantage on the older system. These two machines even run at the same 1080p resolution, though obviously PS4 misses out on plenty of other features in SSR, physics-based elements, and ambient occlusion too. But still, it's a very odd turnout for the textures.
Yeah, it looks
perhaps one of the biggest questions I've had about Street Fighter
for
6.
Textures. Now, on the PlayStation, on the Steam Deck, this actually looks kind of like texture quality on Steam Deck, if you want to get it to run well.
Too.
So, see what I mean? Like, you're missing a lot of texture detail on the Xbox Series S, and likely it's due to the RAM. This has PS4 has 8 gigabytes. This has 8 as well, but there's other issues they have. We've talked about before how they separate their RAM pools in Xbox Series S has been a problem for developers, and they have not changed this, by the way. This game has not been updated, and they have not fixed this, maybe because they can't, to get it to run well on Xbox Series S. They haven't, because we have another example of Street Fighter 6 versus Xbox Series S, and this is ridiculous. So yeah, this is by Switchplayed. Make sure you sub to him too. He does a lot of Nintendo Switch comparison videos as well. He's one of those guys. But yeah, look, this is a great example of. I'm gonna see if we can even zoom in here a little bit. But if you see, let me go back a little bit. Where they start to fight. Round 1 fight. Go back a little bit. Go to here. Okay. You may not be able to see it very well, but see the jaggies in the background? You can see like the lines turn into they're separated lines here on the Xbox Series S. Here on Switch 2, they're completely smooth. And the interesting thing is that even on the PlayStation 5 version, these lines in the background of this level, I've seen comparisons of that too. There's another comparison we can look at. These are actually jaggy on PS5 too, which means that they're using. They got to be. We don't have confirmation from the developers, but they got to be using DLSS to smooth that out. We've talked about this before, that DLSS does its own form of anti-aliasing just from using AI upscaling. So this may not even have anti-aliasing in it, but it could be using DLSS, which would actually fix these jagged lines and jagged edges in backgrounds. Let's see, is there a way to zoom in with YouTube? Let me see if I can zoom in manually from OBS here. Then I can show you better what's going on. Okay, click on that. Yeah. Let me get a little closer, even if we can. Ooh. All right. All right, you see this right here? Control plus scroll forward. Okay. I didn't want to waste too much of your guys' time trying to figure that out, so I just went and did it this way. So, do you see this? Do you see this right here? These jagged edges in the background? And they're gone on Switch 2. See if I can. Yeah, okay. Switch 2 version, clean and smooth. Xbox Series S, jagged, not good. Thanks, Louise. But yeah, this is a stark contrast. Okay. Not only do you have better textures on the yeah, $90 is fake. That's not a thing. We'll get into that later. So, not only do you have lower resolution, I believe Digital Foundry said that Xbox Series S is actually rendering this game at 1080p 60 frames. But not only do you have lower resolution, jaggies, on Street Fighter 6, and it's all cleaned up on Switch 2. I've seen like we can show you the 4K footage of this in a second too. It looks really good. But also you have better textures on the players. Like, this looks a lot more blurry, and this looks more vibrant on Switch 2. See this right here? Let me he's zooming in here. Maybe I can zoom out for you a little bit. Since I did it via OBS. There. All right. That's better. I wanted to zoom in so we could see it. So yeah. Xbox Series S. And then you actually see his skin, the lines of his skin better in his hand. And it's definitely more detailed. And people were arguing with me about this last year, saying that there's no way a Switch 2 game will look better than Xbox Series S. I'm like, yeah, it's definitely possible because of the RAM problem. Maybe not all games will run better because of maybe a CPU limitation, but yes, I would say the GPU itself is doing all the heavy lifting for Switch 2. Let me go back a little bit. Let's see if we get this up a little bit again. Yeah. So here we go. I mean, the difference is completely apparent. It's using like the level 2 setting, I think, on PC of Xbox Series S, and this looks like it's using the medium to high setting on textures, at least, maybe even the high setting. But it's hard to say exactly. We won't know. But they obviously are the game is not 4K. And I'll show you an example of that real quick. Go back here. Street Fighter 6. I don't think it's actually running in native 4K. I do think Street Fighter 6 is running probably around 1080p-ish, but with using AI upscaling, using DLSS to smooth things out. Okay. So on here you have them playing the game. And you see, let's see here. Now you have a full screen example of Street Fighter 6 on the Switch 2. I'll show you why. You can tell it's not actually like rendering at 4K, and not that it needs to, but I want to show you why it still looks great. You can kind of see right here that it's a little bit artifacty, a little bit on the hair. On was it JP? But it's outputting everything back out, upscaling it, I do believe, probably to at least 1440p or 4K. But it's definitely rendering the actual game at a lower resolution internally. But the key is that the whole point of DLSS is to make it so you can't tell, or that you don't notice the problems that these low resolution games have. So like, yeah, if you look closely, you can kind of see a little bit of shimmering here and there, but like, are you going to notice this during gameplay? Absolutely not. You will notice the issues with on Xbox Series S because it actually is like shimmering and like jaggy noticeably. You can see that the jaggies are kind of being smoothed together with most likely DLSS. It looks like DLSS to me. The way this looks, I've played a lot of games of DLSS. This looks like DLSS with the way the lines are smoothed together. You can kind of tell, like right here, you can kind of tell that there's a little bit of stair stepping, but the stair stepping is being like smoothed together, and that's a classic like DLSS trick. That it's using AI to fill in the gaps. So yeah, this looks extremely impressive. Street Fighter 6, great game. I have this on PC. It'll be really easy to do a comparison video for me when and if I get this game. It's gonna be on launch day. I don't know if I would. It's gonna be a lot of games to play right away. So, but yeah, this looks really good on Switch too. Getting back to Cyberpunk 2077 real quick. I wanted to show you. So the Xbox Series S version of Cyberpunk. Let's watch this just for a second. I'm gonna show you the biggest advantage that the Switch 2 has over Xbox Series S is going to be massively noticeable in this example, okay?
To say it runs the gamut from 1440p down to around 1296p, and the lock is reasonably tight at 30 FPS too, giving us a stable and visually sharper option on Series S. Again, there's no ray tracing included here, and the star of the show, of course, is that new performance option, the 60 FPS mode. Resolution-wise, this does inevitably degrade some settings, so in terms of the pixel metrics, we're looking at a range of 1080p at peak, going down to 800.
Yeah, all right. So to get 60 frames on Xbox Series S, they have to have dynamic resolution with no ray tracing, and they have to use they updated it back then with FSR2. That was the whole like reason how they got it running at a better frame rate by using FSR2 2.1. It didn't have it when it was launched, so they got FSR 2.1 to run on the Xbox consoles and on PlayStation 5, which changed the way the rendering was. It allowed them to get 60 frames per second by dropping it down to 800p. So, but here's the problem is that just FSR just doesn't do that good of a job, and this is where Switch 2 is a big advantage.
Notably, this 800p figure is when performance drops heavily, like the opening mirror sequence. As ever though,
50.
CDPR's engine also uses a form of TAA and reconstruction to produce a 1080p image where it does go under that figure. So the result, it looks softer than the 1440p quality mode admittedly, but it still holds up. Now, one huge glaring issue with CDPR's image treatment, the reconstruction I suspect, is on fine elements. I mean, just look at how it's treating fine details at range on this barbed wire fence. It's really just a shimmering mess.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, see, this is what people have been dealing with on consoles.
Failing to make sense of all that sub-pixel detail at range.
This
Fortunately,
looks awful.
This outback area is...
All right. So, been dealing with this on Steam Deck. Steam Deck is 10 times worse than this because you're rendering it just to get Cyberpunk to run on Steam Deck. You got to like render it like 360p with FSR2 and to upscale it to 800p on Steam Deck. It looks way worse than this even on Steam Deck. There's like actual like dithering artifacts and like you can actually see the pixels like all around the image on a Steam Deck if you were to blow it up. Yeah, so even zoomed out here, on this looks terrible. Like it's so noticeably bad. Look at that. It's so bad. Like this is what you're saying it's an old build. It looks even worse with FSR 3. So this is the best they're going to be doing here. FSR 3 looks even worse. But yeah, this is what console players and Steam Deck users have been dealing with, because consoles, even next gen, current gen consoles, they simply just can't run this game without having to do major cutbacks with the image quality. Granted, like I said, the Switch 2, they're right now targeting 1080p in quality mode with 30 frames, but I'm willing to bet you guys, not anything actually, not actual real bet, but I'm willing to go out on a limb and say that the Switch 2 version is actually going to look better visually to the eye than the Xbox Series S version. It may not run at 60 frames. They may not be able to get it there on launch day. They may be able to patch it in later, but I'm willing to bet you it's going to look better visually, just like Street Fighter 6 does, than Xbox Series S. Because of that sweet, sweet DLSS. DLSS does not have this problem, guys. And that's including on performance mode on DLSS. It still doesn't look like this garbage. This looks like absolute trash. So yes, Xbox Series S runs the game at 60 frames per second, but it depends on what you're looking for here. They really can't do much with the image quality. They have to sacrifice it basically to get it to run at 60 frames, and even then it has drops. But yeah, I would say this is a decent port actually for Xbox Series S, because they got it running at 60 frames. Good on you. I think frame rate actually dropped even worse in the patch 2.0 that came out like a few months after this 1.6. And I think actually the frame rate got a little worse on some of the consoles. So yeah, I don't know who did the port, by the way, to the consoles. I'm assuming it's CD Projekt Red, but as far as like what Switch 2 can do versus the other consoles, I mean, this is footage of it against the PS5 version on Switch 2 in comparisons. This is very early stuff. And so yeah, it's one of those things. These games are going to have pluses and minuses on Switch 2 depending on the developer's time spent with the development, and depending on the type of game. But I think 1080p 30 frames upscaled maybe to the 1440p or 4K, whatever it is they're going to use to upscale. I'm assuming that a lot of these games are going to be rendering like the actual content below, between like 720p and 1080p. They're actually going to be rendering the games like that, but they're going to be using DLSS to upscale to a higher resolution, and then they may use another pass. When I say pass, like a rendering pass of TAA to upscale it to 4K from there, because it doesn't cost hardly anything to use that software based. Or they may use FSR2 on top of that to upscale it one more pass to 4K, or just do a regular output 4K upscale to get it to output at 4K on your TV. So keep in mind, if you set your Switch 2, it's just like the current Switch, guys. Think of it this way: you play your current Switch, the max it can go is 1080p, right? That means you set your system to 1080p, it's going to output every game on Switch 1 to 1080p on your display. The actual games themselves will be rendering at variable resolutions. As we know, Switch 1 does 720p a lot, 900p a lot, and it's going to output those games to 1080p on Switch 1. The same exact thing is going to be the case with Switch 2, except you're going to quadruple the resolution output to 4K. Yes, you heard that right. 4K is 4 times the pixels as 1080p. This is not a small upgrade. This is a massive upgrade for Nintendo and Switch 2. This is exactly what we've been talking about on the channel for the last couple of years, that this is what I expected Nintendo to be able to get with an NVIDIA-based chip, and they are producing that right here visually for you. You got it right here. There it is. And you have gameplay examples of this with the guys at GVG, right? playing Cyberpunk right there. 7-week-old build, like we talked about before. This is not a miracle port. This is a port. Oh yeah, basically you say, hey, can we port this? Can you guys, release Cyberpunk on launch day? We want to have a big AAA game here. Yeah, sure. We'll give it a shot. Send us your dev kit, CD Projekt Red, or that's what they say to Nintendo. Nintendo sends them their early dev kit 4 months ago or whatever. Like, oh, it just works. Oh, okay. We didn't expect it to actually just work. Okay. And it took them 7 weeks to make this build. So yeah, this is not a miracle port. This is a port. A miracle port is if they got this to run on Switch 1, it's not going to run on Switch 1. But like a miracle port would be The Witcher 3 on Switch 1, Doom 2016, Doom Eternal on Switch 1. That might be one of the best ports I've ever seen on Switch 1. That's a miracle. But it took Panic Button I think they said it took them like 2 or 3 years to get to, it took them like so long to get that game to work on Switch 1. So many nips and tucks and tricks and everything. It didn't take, if you could port games to Switch 1 in 7 weeks and get them running like this, developers would be going bonkers. They'd be like so excited. That wasn't the case. You would always get ports way late and down the line because the Switch 1, you had to perform literal miracles to get games running on them. You had to remove graphics. You had to completely re-optimize games from scratch. You had to basically change all the models, change all the textures, change all the shaders, change everything just to get the game running on Switch 1. Now you have Switch 2 where the developers get the dev kit and they're like, oh, I can get this running as is from my original code that I developed the game on. Wow, this is really easy. Thank you, Nintendo. And this is what we're seeing here. Now, granted, if CD Projekt Red had dev kits maybe a year in advance, they probably would have been able to up the detail, up the resolution, up the frame rate even more so because they're just more familiar with the hardware. But wow, this is crazy stuff. I'm extremely impressed by this. And like I said, I do really think that we're going to be seeing Cyberpunk on Switch 2. That I think it's going to look better than Xbox Series S in a visual quality standpoint. It may not hit the 60 frames per second target on launch day. They may patch it in later. But as from a visual quality standpoint, where'd it go? I do firmly believe that you're going to be getting a game that looks better than this. Visually, this is not going to be a thing on Switch 2. This is Xbox Series S, and it looks terrible visually in the performance mode. So Switch 2, VRR compatible, 40 frames per second, VRR, with better image quality than this, you're probably going to be having a better experience on the Switch 2 version if you have those things. And in portable mode, you're going to be having the ability to use G-Sync with this game to hit 40 frames per second. So they're going to be targeting 720p, 40 frames in portable mode. And this is going to be, it's going to feel like you're playing a 60 frames per second game with VRR enabled. That's something the Steam Deck doesn't have. The Steam Deck doesn't use 120 frames per second display, right? You're able to set games to 40 frames per second on Steam Deck, but it doesn't have a VRR G-Sync compatible 120 frames hertz display. So wow, that is really exciting. So yeah, this is an early dev build of Cyberpunk 2077 that they were playing. C Project Red said they're still working on performance, but this is just a 7-week-old build. Not a miracle port by any means, simply a port. Does that make sense, guys? That's why this is so impressive. I am a PC gamer, as you know. I have an RTX 4090. I have the best CPU on the market. I have a Ryzen 9800X 3D. I played this game live right here on this channel a few months ago, showing off my brand new bleeding edge PC, and I played this game at 4K max settings, path tracing enabled, and lock 60 frames per second. Looks absolutely fantastic. And I'm telling you right now, I am more impressed by this, not because I'm a Nintendo shill, but because I'm impressed with developers from what they're able to accomplish on lower spec hardware with amazing tricks from this new technology using AI with DLSS. This is what really gets me excited about the future of gaming, is it providing this level of quality for everybody to play at. No, do you have $5,000 to buy 2 PCs like me, and develop the biggest, most fattest gaming PC you could possibly have? I got lucky that I came upon some more financial, benefit in the past year. That's not going to be the case for a lot of people. I'm an outlier, so I am experiencing the best possible gaming on my PC, but I can be really impressed by this because guess what? You guys are going to be able to play a pretty decent looking running version of Cyberpunk 2077 on the Switch too. And this is a great game. A lot of people missed out on it who only could afford one console. This is a fantastic game. If this runs at a locked 30 frames, you're going to have a great time because this is not Call of Duty. This game is a immersive first-person RPG with first-person shooter elements, but it's not the entire game. Okay, so yeah, you are going to have an absolute blast with Cyberpunk 2077. Trust me. I put nearly 250 hours of gameplay into this game on PC. I love the game. I don't think it's a 10 out of 10. It's like, with all the patches, it's like a 9 out of 10. But it's definitely one of the best games in the last 5 years. And as regards to the price, this is $69.99 on Switch 2, a full next generation console price. But you're getting the entire game. You're getting all the expansion. You're getting everything. And that costs the same as the PlayStation 5 version, by the way. This costs $70 on PS5 as well for the Ultimate Edition. Okay. Yeah, so anyway, guys, behave in the chat. No need to insult each other. Just have a good time. We're talking about positive things, okay? So I'm giving you my experience also with being a PC gamer. I think I've earned. If you guys know me for years, I hope I earned your respect in terms of what my opinion is. I am not a Nintendo shill. I have criticized Nintendo to no end. But sometimes the planets just align. They align with your interests. Sometimes the company that you are rooting for, like Nintendo, goes in a way that you don't like. And sometimes they go in a way that you do like. Right now with Switch 2, they are going in a direction that I like. Okay? This is what I like, okay? I like this stuff. I like the tech stuff. I like them trying new things with technology, getting this game running on Switch 2 is extremely impressive. I absolutely love it. And this is just the beginning. We're only just starting with Switch 2. 7 weeks. 7 weeks. Can you believe that? I am really impressed. Okay. Now, we have Metroid Prime 4. So let's take a look at this Metroid Prime 4 footage. They were able to actually get it into this, down to 16 minutes on the treehouse. So let's take a look at this. Make sure it's unmuted. Okay. Thank you for the super chats, guys. Somebody gave me a super chat earlier. I'm sorry I missed it. Thank you to Jordan, $5 super chat. Appreciate it. And thank you to Louise. Appreciate your support, guys. Hit the like button if you're excited for Switch 2, if you're hyped. Save your questions for the end. We're going to review this footage here. Let me make sure my volume's not too high. Okay. You should be able to hear the game.
So getting to that, here's the first cutscene. So I won't talk too much over this. I'll let people kind of enjoy it.
I think I'll turn it down a little bit.
Feel the table.
These people like to laugh and scream a lot on Treehouse. I don't really like that much. But hey.
That is a beautiful ship. There's a big battle happening right now.
Quick work with some of these ships.
Yeah. Just join in.
All right, so I don't know about you, but this reminds me of Star Wars Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith, the opening.
There's a big battle happening right now.
Quick work with some of these ships.
That.
Yeah. Just join in on it.
Piece of cake.
That's
Or
Samus's
Halo.
contribution to the air fray.
See there's a lot of action going on the ground.
Not good for the
That
Galactic
guy.
Federation
Crazy.
here.
The Galactic Federation soldiers are trying to put up a fight, but it's not working too well. They need some help. It's pretty cool to see this, though. Oh. All right.
Yeah. Samus to the rescue. Woo!
Wow. So did you guys notice that? Now, I'm pretty positive. Let's just be honest here. I'm pretty positive this is pre-rendered, but they're using the in-game models in a pre-rendered aspect. Okay, and it's in 60 frames per second. But you are getting some interesting looks here at the gunship.
There's a big battle happening right now. Samus.
Quick work with some of these ships.
Yeah.
All right. So looks like we got camouflage up here, right? Like some kind of camouflage.
Join in on.
Almost like a camouflage look. Almost like a turtle. Samus has recruited a Ninja Turtle shell for the gunship. Turtle time.
On it.
Piece of cake.
That's Samus's contribution to the air fray.
All right. So if you
Yeah.
remember
Yeah.
Metroid Prime 3, these pirate ships, these are space pirate ships. They are back with a vengeance here. It looks like they're making a big attack on this planet. And they said, so Nintendo wants us to see the intro to the game. This is not actually the game. This is basically like the equivalent of showing you Metroid Prime 3. In the first part where you get invaded by the pirates on the Federation ship that you start the game as, and you're called to action to do the mission. So they don't have a problem in showing you this because this is not the actual game. It is Cosmic Year 20X9, determined to defeat Samus and the Galactic Federation. Sylux and his army of space pirates launched a series of attacks on Federation research facilities. Okay.
What you're going to see is that this is a research facility for the Galactic Federation. It's being attacked by space pirates. And Samus is going to be...
It's believed that space pirates are being controlled by Metroids. I believe those are fake Metroids, right? Or like, I forgot the name of them. You guys have... tell me again in the chat what they're called again. They're not Metroids. They're the like mutant variant of them. Like Mocktroids. Thank you, sir. Controlled by Metroids that have the ability to fuse with other life forms and control their minds.
Answering their call, and this is what's pretty much going to be the beginning of the game.
Those are space pirates that are allied with Psylux, who we haven't seen a whole lot of. We saw him in Metroid Prime Hunters.
Yeah.
We're not quite sure what the bad blood here is about between Psylux and the Galactic Federation.
Scroll.
Yeah.
On the planet Tanamar in the Desolin system. This sounds like these guys have been watching Star Trek The Next Generation a little bit too much. These names. Another Federation research facility is being attacked. Galactic Federation HQ received the distress call and dispatched Samus, who was on the reconnaissance mission nearby.
He doesn't like him, nor does not like Samus. So
yeah, he's got a deep grudge for Samus.
So getting to that, here's the first cut.
Samus warps in, does all that. We saw that already. Beautiful, awesome cutscene using in-game models, no doubt. But like
the air fray.
That's what a very good trick that Sony first-party games do. They use in-game models in their actual real-time cutscenes to make it look like it's real-time, and really it's just CG. Big space battle. Federation's under attack.
Looking good for the
Master Chief is running to ask for Samus for help.
Trying to put up a fight, but it's not working.
Oh, the guys from
help.
Titanfall have joined the battle.
It's pretty cool to see this, though.
But as someone, Mocktroid, as someone pointed out, on Twitter, do you think these are the mechs that they were using in Federation Force, guys? Let me know what you think. Like Metroid Prime's version of them. I'm curious.
Oh. All right.
Yeah, Samus to the rescue. Woo!
Okay, we're about to get to gameplay here in just a moment.
What's this? Oh. All right. Different pirate ship.
Yeah,
Samus comes in to the rescue, saves the Titanfall brothers. And looks like what? We have... What was that? Oh. I'm trying to see something here.
All right.
Yeah. Samus to the rescue. Woo!
All right, yeah. So you have multiple ships in orbit, and they're trying to attack. They're trying to get the artifact that they're hiding in the science research facility. Looks like it's here.
I love this scene so much. All right, let me get ready. Here we go.
We have improved textures and geometry.
So some of you might see this area pretty familiar from the first trailer that we showed for Metroid Prime 4.
I'll show you. I'll show you an example.
So of course, you're seeing Samus from the outside, but now we're about to go right behind the visor.
Okay. So I believe... let me pull that up really quick. I'll show you what I mean. All right, give me a second. I got so much Cyberpunk 2077 stuff up here. Excited for that. Yeah. Pull this out. Okay, I'm going to show you a comparison here of what they've improved already in the Switch 2 version. This is the original trailer here on Switch. Okay. All right, pause. See if I can get to my media player. Okay. All right. So what we have is, see this? They actually added better lighting to the Switch 2 version. This little piece of ship debris here, or part of a Titanfall mech, has been added in the Switch 2 version. This actually lights up now. In the official statement by Nintendo, the upgrades to Metroid Prime 4 on Switch 2 are better textures, 4K 60 frames per second, and HDR. But they didn't say anything about lighting and better geometry. But it looks like the geometry and lighting have been improved ever so slightly, or more noticeably than the Switch 1 version. And if you look close here in the background, the geometry is, in fact, there's actually more to the rocks. Here's the original version. The rocks are a little bit less geometric, if you want to say this right. There's a little bit more to them. Let me look again. Yep. So the more the rock is here. More the rock is here on Switch 2. It looks basically this very, very, very similar, but there's a lot less detail. So yeah. Better lighting, way more texture detail, 4K 60 frames per second. Let's keep watching.
And away we go. All right. So I'm going to kind of play a little slower so everybody can kind of just take it all in, but I see a space pirate right here, so I'm just going to go ahead and not let that stand.
We can see that classic Metroid Prime gameplay where you've got, it's first person.
This looks really good.
You've got your reticle in the middle there. You can use that to lock on to enemies there.
Yeah, I'm still not going to try to take any hits, though. Oh, what you doing still? Oh. All right, so now we're going to go ahead and do this. So one thing people should note, right now I'm...
Yeah. Just a reminder, I'm not going to be answering questions right now until we're done. Until we're done going over all this good stuff.
Playing with a split Joy-Con 2 style, so I have a Joy-Con.
We'll have a whole
Q&A
Q&A section.
And I'm going to change it up a little bit further we get.
All right.
All right,
I think that's the first time we saw we see her collect
right now, I'm playing with a split Joy-Con 2
energy
style,
balls.
so I have a Joy-Con 2 in my left hand and my right hand. And I'm going to change it up a little bit further.
They're using the mouse controls here. They say they work good,
you're playing in a mode called Quality Mode.
We'll try it out for ourselves.
4K, 60 FPS.
Correct.
So for anybody that is watching the stream, we are streaming at 4K. If you have a 4K TV, you will be able
Turn her down a bit.
see all the visuals, and it's very glorious, pristine, pretty graphics.
All right, so they're talking to the soldiers.
So right now there is a sensitive artifact that the Galactic Federation.
This looks really good. Like, I'm not streaming at 4K, so I can chat with you guys at a quicker rate, but this looks really, really good. You can tell they're using the same models from the trailer. I mean, not the trailer, from the opening cutscene in game. But of course, the opening cutscene is going to have all the better lighting, and it's going to have all the all kinds of crazy stuff on there.
So right now there is a sensitive artifact that the Galactic
so cool.
Protect with the space pirates.
And it looks like
so right now there is a sensitive
Space Federation. Yeah, I downloaded the video, and I downloaded the 4K version. This is like a nearly 2 gigabyte video I downloaded. It's the highest quality I can do. So
artifact.
The Federation uses like a map that's kind of similar to what Samus uses in her visor, right? Okay, let's see. There. There's always someone.
The Galactic Federation is trying to protect, and the space pirates, led by Silex, is trying to take. So Samus is going to try to recover that and defend.
But yeah, look at the reflections. Look at, you can actually see the reflection right here in the real time cutscene. Look at that. That is interesting. I don't want to say that's ray tracing. I don't think it's ray tracing, but I don't think so. I don't want to make that statement. You're saying I don't look good, Chris? What's wrong with you, buddy? I'm just kidding. Usually this kind of stuff, like if you play a game like Doom Eternal, for example, they added ray tracing, and you see the ray trace reflections on the Doomsayer's gun. This reminds me of that. I am not saying this has ray tracing though. That could be a trick. Retro Studios does these types of tricks a lot. Like if you remember, if you remember Metroid Prime 1, back there's that save room in the Chozo ruins where there's a reflection of Samus you can see in the little mirror area in there in the save room. That's definitely not ray tracing. But like when they in today's graphics world, this type of stuff kind of reminds me of ray tracing. I don't know if they could, I guess they could do that with screen space reflections, but this is kind of odd. It could be a little flare of ray tracing, you never know. Like, hey, we actually put some ray tracing in there. Maybe you missed it, that kind of thing. Because this would be really easy for Switch 2 to do. It is confirmed to be using this. We know the console can do ray tracing, so this would be a really easy little thing during a cutscene, for example. I got it in slow motion here. Let's see. Okay. Trying to see if there's anything, or if it's just baked in. It might just be baked in. I don't know. If it's actually their true reflection that's perfectly aligned with the background, it could be ray traced. But yeah, cube map maybe. Yeah, it's too little to tell. I do like it though. I don't know if it even matters. You know what I'm saying, guys? If this is ray tracing or not ray tracing doesn't matter. Not really. I think it looks great either way. I'm just curious to know if it is using that or not. I would love to see like a interview with Retro Studios and have them ask him, are they using any like of the Switch 2's like effects like ray tracing or whatnot?
I am right here, so I'm going to make my way through.
And that's one of the cool things about this. It's got that, again, classic.
Oh, I had over 500 live viewers earlier. Some people left when I started talking about Metroid Prime 4.
Big theme in this game and in the series.
Which you shouldn't do.
So I just switched to my scan
I'm
visor.
kidding.
I can scan this door here. It's going to give me access.
Yeah, we have nearly 500 people watching. Can we get the likes up? Let's get to 300 likes, guys. Let's go.
And a little bit additional information.
Are you excited for Switch 2? Metroid Prime 4? Hit the like button.
Learning more about the lore of this world. So scanning is very important. It's been in the Metroid Prime series as well. So
yes,
it's a great way.
And a little bit.
Security ID registration complete. Bounty Hunter Samus Aran. Okay, very much like Metroid Prime 3, right?
Additional information.
It's pretty important too, of just like learning more about the lore of this world. So scanning is very important. It's been in the Prime.
Yeah,
in the Metroid Prime
it's
series
this
as well,
basic
so
scanning stuff.
Yes,
Missile
great way to
launcher.
learn.
Yeah, missile launcher's there. Got the map up here, and we have radar up here for enemies. Missiles, 27 to 30. Nice. Looks like we're about to fight some pirates. They're being they're just coming in and they're attacking everybody here. This looks like something out of this looks like something out of Star Trek right here, like Star Trek the movies from the 80s. These kind of like panels that had like green and red on them. Very, very Star Trek movie-ish.
Additional backstory, lore.
I like
just
it.
Helpful gameplay tips and even access to certain areas. All right. Ooh. Try to protect the some of the people here, but they're getting attacked too much. All right, so I'm gonna play a little faster here. Just go it. I can even scan enemies.
Yeah.
We can get a little additional.
Okay, so this is a basic space pirate. Ruthless, brutal, and bellicose intergalactic marauder. This is one example of the diverse alien life forms that make up the space pirates. So intergalactic marauder. So not a basic space pirate. It's an intergalactic marauder. Bellicose. Interesting, because their suit is different. Looks really cool.
Space pirate, you can see classic. All right, and now they're gonna go away.
They're pretty ruthless. So one of them came at you to
Yeah.
shank
So did you notice that?
Here, just go it. I can even scan enemies.
Looks like.
You can get a little additional.
It looks
Here's
like.
space pirate, you
Yeah,
can
Jason.
see
We'll talk about
classic.
that stuff later for the price stuff.
And now they're gonna go away.
They're pretty ruthless. So one
Looks
of them
like
came
there's
at you to
less.
shank you.
I talked about this
Definitely.
in
Is there anything else to scan? You can even check
the
out
Nintendo
where
Direct
it came down.
stuff from last
We have a
week.
dive zone.
Not
landing.
the one
Yeah.
that showed.
Things are looking good. I'm gonna make my way to this door here.
And there's
No, a
some
few days ago,
environmental stuff that
Switch
you could
2
also
Direct.
choose to break too.
Yeah, or the other one of the two. I'm losing track. But basically, you can when you lock on to an enemy, it's less juddering. There's less like camera like focus. It's more of a slight lock on feel, but it's not as like full like the entire camera is moving this way and locked on. It's more subtle, so to give you more of a free feel, I think. But wow, look at this. This looks amazing. See the Federation guys back here. That ship's still there, beaming down space pirates.
You never know what's in the containers.
Beautiful lighting.
All right, so here's our
Fire.
first major obstacle. So of course, I can enter into Morph Ball. I can go under small objects or large objects. You can go
Okay.
into tiny cracks. I want to make my way through here. Engage in this big
All
fight.
right, in-game cutscene. We got another Metroid Prime 3 and
Some
2
more space pirates.
thing that I like to do a lot.
A mecha suit.
Okay, so coming up next here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to, this is going to be a big battle after this scene. I'm actually going to switch from the controls I was just doing. I'm going to switch to mouse controls by putting the right Joy-Con 2 here on the surface, and I'm going to actually start playing like that.
So you can see Demetrius is locking on to the enemies
Big mech.
with the ZL button. But then
Joy-Con 2 here on the surface, and I'm going to actually start playing like that.
Yeah, so it looks like these space pirates are a little bit. They're a little bit more.
Going to switch from the controls I was just doing.
A little bit more mobile, right?
Mouse controls by putting the right Joy-Con 2 here on the surface, and I'm going to actually start playing. Like
Just a
that.
little bit.
So you can see Demetrius is locking on to the enemies with the ZL button. But then at the same time, he's using that right Joy-Con to kind of fine-tune his aiming. You know, like maybe the enemies are a little, maybe you have to lead them a little bit, so you have to aim a little bit to one side or the other.
And I'm missing all over the place now. I got a little bit of nerves. Oh, come on. There we go.
But it's really cool though that you're able
Warhammer
to
40K.
very
Yeah, I could
seamlessly
see that.
change between doing dual Joy-Con 2 and then
Yeah,
mouse
you see how
control, so you
quickly I can
choose-
turn to side to side.
Yeah, this is all
Now, if I take my
brand
hand
new
and just lift
stuff.
it up off the surface, I'm actually now back to playing in the normal split Joy-Con mode. And I'll once again put my hand back down on the surface.
If you guys notice
Still
anything
ready
that
to go,
I'm
but
missing, let me know in the chat. So
The
I'm
little
looking.
tiny one
I'm
in
looking
the
for
middle.
stuff.
So I'll keep
Missile pickup.
Yeah, so you can
Okay.
just switch that on the fly. All you have to do to activate the mouse controls is
Yeah,
just
this is the
put
part in the
mouse
trailer,
and
the original
Joy-Con
trailer
to
that
flat on the
they're
surface.
Yeah.
added in. Now we come out to that part in the trailer.
this guy, I think he's pretty low on health. So it'll
Yeah,
probably
some
be
ex
my value.
Retro Studio
Yep, Eternal 70%.
team
Yeah,
worked on Halo
finish 'em
4, yeah.
off. All right. Sorry, buddy.
All right, well,
Before they
Wow.
joined
Things
Do with
Retro,
this
vice
scanning
versa.
is that, you know, some scans you need to do to advance in the story or activate certain mechanisms, but you can kind of decide how deep you want to go into the lore and like figuring out all the explanations of every element that you see in the game.
you can see this space is getting swarmed
Yeah, they're
with space pirates.
Coming in real fast.
They're trying to blow
Yeah, I
the
noticed
door
there's no
here.
lighting from the beam shots,
Make my way
but
to them as fast as possible.
there was. I think there was from the one of them when you shoot your missile.
Okay, there we
We'll
go.
go back and
There's
take a look.
The scientists moving back there with the artifact.
The artifact back there.
Yep.
Putting up a pretty good fight. Coming up is going
Let me go back here. Let me see something.
Okay, there we go.
So there's the
Oh, okay.
scientists moving back there with the artifact.
The artifact back there.
Yep.
Putting up a pretty good fight.
Get the energy
Coming up
tank.
is going to be my first collectible here. It's going to be my energy tank. I'm going to require that. Okay, looks good. All
upgrade.
You can see that at the top of the screen, the 99 there. That's Samus's health, so adding another energy tank. As an
Christmas in
additional
June, I know, right?
99 little energy units.
Yeah, that's a good point. So, looking at the screen right now, at the top left, we'll have the tracking meter for all of the enemies. On the top right, you'll have the mini map.
This is probably going to be
On the
really
bottom
good to
right,
play
you
with the
have
mouse
your
controls. Not going to
missiles.
lie.
The total that you can hold is at the bottom. The total that you have.
I have a
in your
desk here to
inventory is at the
try
top.
it on, so we
And then
could
on the
try
bottom
that out.
left
Obviously,
is
no problem.
all of your weapons. And right now,
Let me
mini
go
map,
back. Let me see something.
Go past that room.
Go up here. Is there anything else?
Swarmed
Yeah, they're
with space pirates.
Coming in real fast.
They're trying to blow the door here. And then
Yeah, right here. I think the lighting's improved here too over the original game. Here's the original trailer on Switch 1. Yeah. Yep. Like they added like bloom or something or better lighting here. Switch 2. See this? Switch 1, the lighting is gone pretty much. Switch 2, lighting's there. Switch 1. Switch 2. Yeah, definitely better.
them as fast as possible.
No, I don't think it's the HDR
This space
because the lighting is gone.
swarmed
Yeah, they're
with space
Watch.
pirates.
coming in real fast.
They're trying to blow the door here.
If I can, all right. See this? This flare of light is not here in the Switch 1 version. And this looks obviously less detailed and more blurry, but that's because it's running at more than 4 times lower the resolution. It's like 900p, and this is 4K. But yes, graphical flourishes, it looks like they have been improved. And yeah, it could be baked lighting, but that I would still say that's improved because it's not in the Switch 1 version.
Mechanisms, but you can kind of decide how deep you want to go into the lore and like figuring out all the explanations of every element that you see in the game.
You can see this space is getting swarmed
Yeah, they're
with space pirates.
Oh, look at that. Oh,
Blow the door here.
maybe it's not baked lighting.
Space is getting swarmed.
Did you notice that?
But you
Look,
can kind of decide how
watch
deep
this.
you want to go into the lore.
see? when you get closer to the lights, yeah, post-processing, more post-processing kicks in and gives you more bloom or more lighting when you get closer. It's interesting.
And like figuring out all
Watch
the
closely
explanations
this
of
light
every-
right here.
every
This is the
element
light we're
you
looking
see
at.
in the game.
Watch.
You can see this space is getting swarmed.
Yeah, they're
Now it's getting brighter.
going real fast.
Now it's like actually like lighting up more.
Here. Gonna make
So that might be a graphical trick that they're doing,
go past that.
but that was not in the Switch 1 version. Switch 1 version right here. Yeah, that's not there. Very interesting.
So there's the scientist moving.
Yeah,
out
the
there
shadow.
with
There is actually a shadow there from the pipe in the Switch 1 version and Switch 2 version, but it's not really that noticeable. It is there though. So I don't know if they really improved that part that much. But I will tell you this. This is what I wanted, because this is one of the options I wanted for a Metroid Prime 4 on Switch 2. I was either going to want a graphic overhaul like Switch 2 version, ray tracing pumping out, going crazy with textures, but accepting a sacrificed resolution, maybe like 1080p, 1200p, 60 frames or whatever. Or I was going to want the Switch 1 version with 4K 60 frames per second. That's actually more than I expected, with some improvements, with better textures and improvements in lighting. So I basically got what I wanted. I wanted two different options. So the art design of this game is so good that 4K 60 frames with some enhancements to lighting and textures looks phenomenal. This looks incredibly good. This is basically what I wanted.
Pretty good fight. Coming up is going to be my first collectible here. It's going to be my energy tank. I'm going to acquire that. Okay, looks good. All
You
right.
can see that at the top of the screen, the 99 there. That's Samus's health, so adding another energy tank adds an additional set of 99 little energy units.
Yeah, that's a good point. So, looking at the screen right now, at the top left, we'll
Yeah,
have
because
the
this
tracking meter.
this is going to be more noticeable for people who have 4K TVs. This will look like a next generation game when you play it. You're looking at something that's going to be pumping more than 4 times the pixels on your television set with HDR, with better textures and lighting, 4K 60 frames per second versus 900p 60 frames per second with lower details, worse textures. The difference is going to look night and day on your TV. If you're watching this on a smartphone, you may not notice it as starkly, but when you actually watch this footage on a 4K TV like I have, it looks absolutely amazing and at 60 frames. So if anyone says this is not a substantial leap, it is. You're pushing that much pixels more than the original game on Switch 1. It is a huge difference.
For all of the enemies. On the top right, you'll have the mini map. On the bottom right, you have your missiles. The total that you can hold is at the bottom. The total that you have in your inventory is at the top. And then on the bottom left,
This looks like
all of your weapons.
This looks like the artifact in the title of the Metroid Prime 4 Beyond. So like the whole like logo is actually inside this artifact here, and that looks like this is what the space pirates are after.
Right now, all we have are missiles.
So here we're just identifying some unknown materials. If I go over here, I can scan this.
Okay, let's see what it says here.
On the bottom
Quick.
right, you have your missiles. The total
Psychic
that
juice.
you can hold is at the bottom.
It's gonna
The
look
total that you
amazing,
have
man.
in your inventory is at the top. And then on the bottom left is all of your weapons. And right now, all we have are missiles.
Okay, a universal object analyzer identifies and classifies unknown materials, uses both radiation measurement and microfocus X-ray scans.
So here we're just identifying.
Okay, but
some
they're
unknown
not scanning the
materials.
artifact, right? Because they don't want you to know what that is. It's a spoiler.
Scan this. I can
Bottom left is all of your weapons. And right now, all we have are missiles.
So here we're just identifying some unknown material.
Okay, speed. Okay, what is this? Slow motion. Oh, it's the same thing. It was just really fast. Okay.
Scan that.
Scan everything.
Yeah. So to the
Okay,
left
artifact
is the
detection
artifact.
located,
That's
okay.
what you're seeing here. It's the marked. Okay. And we can even just scan some more things here.
I want all the
Display
lore.
terminal. I
Scan
know.
everything.
I
man.
know. There's so much. I could even say, oh, let's not scan the door yet. Let's scan these
Yeah,
guys.
I'm not gonna be able to 100% Metroid Prime 4 day one. I think that'd be physically impossible for me, and it wouldn't be very enjoyable.
Here's another good.
I want to take my time and enjoy the experience. I've been waiting for this game since 2016 or so when I first heard
example
rumors
of
about it.
How the control methods work. So right now I'm going to switch back to the normal split styles you see here in my hands. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch to the visor.
Hold ZR to scan objects. Yeah.
And this is a Federation
This is
lock
like
on
Metroid
chain,
Prime.
So it uses a lock-on ability.
This is like any Metroid
That's
Prime
a little
game
special here. So what I'm going to do is switch back to my combat
where you do
visor,
the whole like you're gonna aim on the four
Now I can
objects
use
to open the
right
door
stick
thing.
or a little bit of motion sensor here, and I can kind of aim, and you see it's a little slow.
Gonna slow burn it. Yeah, exactly.
That's one way to do it. And now I'm going to try switching over to the mouse controls here, and I'm going to do the same thing with this door.
So while Dee's doing that,
Yeah. So
I just wanted to mention
what I'll do, by the way, on launch night, we'll play like maybe the first 2 hours together, live on stream. You guys are obviously gonna want to see my first time playing the game. I wouldn't dare not stream that game with you guys for the first time, but we'll probably stream for 2 to 3 hours, and then I'll go and play it on my own and completely enjoy the game. Then we'll come back and do like a 100% playthrough live. We'll review it and everything. That's what I usually do.
And again, for those of you that are just tuning in, we are streaming in 4K. So we are playing the game in quality mode, which supports 4K to 60 frames per second.
Correct.
There will be another mode, which is
There's
called
the artifact.
performance mode, which will run at 120 frames per second at 1080p.
So you can kind of choose for yourself if you want to focus on the resolution and that image quality or the performance and like the high frame rate.
Smooth, buttery friend.
Yeah.
All right, so here's our first
Wow.
boss, Avarax.
Mortal Kombat World? Yes, I can't wait for Mortal Kombat. No, I'm kidding. I said in my last video on Thursday that on launch night we'll be playing Switch 2 on launch day. As long as I can get Switch 2, I'll hook it up. We'll live stream Mortal Kombat World, Mario Kart World, and Cyberpunk 2077 day one, and we'll check it out and everything. And then when Metroid Prime 4 comes out, granted, if you don't want to be spoiled, you don't have to watch the stream. But obviously, people have been requesting me to play this when it comes out live, and I'm not going to deprive. It's a huge event, so yeah, people are going to definitely want to see that, and I want to see it too.
How the control methods work. So right now I'm going to switch back to the normal split styles you see here in my hands. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch to the visor. I'm going to scan this door. And this is a Federation lock.
Yeah, we saw this already. All right, let's go up. I want to see that close up of the pirate again.
Focus on the resolution and that image quality.
All right,
the performance
about to
and, like,
fight.
the high frame rate.
Big boss boy. Very Metroid Prime 3 right here. If you recall Metroid Prime 3, you faced a big gigantic boss right before the end of the first part. It's like kind of like a tutorial. Always the first part of these games are tutorial that doesn't represent the actual game that you're going to be playing for the entire adventure. I think Metroid Prime 2 is the only game where you answer the distress call and the actual game starts, and that's how the game is. That's the only game like that. You do lose your powers, of course, but it's very, very quick, and you don't actually have like this action-heavy focused area at first, like you do in Prime 1 and Prime 3. Prime 3 is more so.
All right, so here's our first.
Oh, too fast. Too fast. Stop it.
Focus on the resolution and that
Okay.
image quality or the performance and like the high frame rate.
Smooth, buttery friend.
Yeah.
All right.
Wow. This design is so cool. Wow. Yeah, they really put a lot more effort into the designs of the pirates. I really like it. Definitely like Halo inspired. We get it. We know. But yeah, for a Metroid Prime game, this is so cool. It's so cool to see this. And no disrespect to Halo, but Halo can only dream to be something like this. Halo is far from what it used to be. This is your new Halo for single player, I would say. Slow motion. They're talking in slow mo. Things are happening fast. I'm doing it in slow motion here. Okay. Something's coming from the top, it looks like. Oh, a Mocktroid. Reminds you of Fear. They haven't announced multiplayer. They definitely have multiplayer people working on this team, on this game, including those who made multiplayer maps and specialize in those. So they haven't announced more details yet. So there's indications that it could have multiplayer. We've talked about it before, but I hope so. It doesn't need it, of course. I think it would be cool though. Wow. Look at the detail on this Mocktroid. Very good. So the Mocktroid's going to power up this bad boy here, right? Wow, look at that. Parts of his shielding broke off. Okay, let's go back to normal speed.
Fusing or combining with this enemy, powering it up.
That is interesting. I don't think we've seen before it's fusing with other beings.
So it's fascinating.
I think you got your work cut out for you here, to me.
Yeah.
No pressure. All the
Wow.
Through a 4-pack.
All right. So I'm gonna lock
Double
on
press
a little bit.
BL while locking on and moving with
So what
L
I'm
to
seeing
quickly
here is there's a
dash.
couple weak spots.
Right.
Ow, I jumped way too slow.
Just like in the Metroid Prime.
No, I'm not gonna let him shoot this.
It should be.
I want to destroy the weak points. There's gonna be multiple. Oh, you just want to throw them at me, don't you?
So yeah, they're using mouse controls. So just like in Metroid Prime 3, you had to use your Wii remote pointer to lock on to that first boss's two like shoulder pads to blow them off.
It kind of shifts from one to the other. Like he's never going to have all of those weak points exposed to this.
Yeah, you can dash forward and backwards now, which is cool. They didn't really showcase it much in this so far, so we'll see.
Or even missile replenishment. That will be handy. But as you can see, like, you have to get the angle right, because shooting missiles, you can see the deflect of the missiles, like, going off.
There we go. There we go. Now it's going to open up the main weak spot here. I'm going to try to get as many shots off as I can. He's going to try to hunt me down with that. Oh, I thought I dodged.
Get him in the belly.
The key technique there that Demetrius can use to dodge that attack is the
A mocktail
strafe.
cocktail,
If you lock
exactly.
it on and you push the jump button twice, you can kind of strafe to one side or the other laterally to avoid some of those attacks.
This boss takes too long, or this is the end of the demonstration though. So, but I'm sure you could beat it a lot quicker.
It'll try to grab me.
They're demonstrating
All right, so
how it works.
pretty good shots here coming out. Oh, no, 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 no.
We can see the Avarax's health bar there at the top too, so making some progress, but he's got a lot of.
Yeah, he's a
health
pretty
here.
beefy boy.
Yeah, I gotta be very careful here. Oh, really? You're gonna block that when I was just about to shoot it? Are you serious, Cyberpunk? Come on now. Let me just get to the side. No!
Oh, juked
Putting
ya.
up the- I'm getting too close. Nope, nope, he's trying to grab me. Yep.
That was close.
No,
Very
you
cool
don't need to
details in the background. See all the ships in the background over the
There you
glass.
go. Well, I'm having a good lock on. Aha. Really putting up that shield a lot. There we go. There
Nice.
we go. Okay, let's do this. Get ready for it. Shot. That. Throw a missile.
Oh,
And you got
Okay.
the space jump there.
oh, wave shield now.
Do that again. This time I was prepared for it. It's gonna go up. Nope.
Ooh, there.
And
Nice.
go right under. Okay, we're doing good. We're doing good here. Fire. All right.
pretty standard Metroid Prime boss.
So now we have 4 weak spots.
You're gonna
So
strafe
get
and dodge left and right, jump over things on the ground,
Oh, nice block. Oh, he's really putting up
shoot
oh,
the
you get a
weak
little too
points,
close, little too close.
and
No, I like
then
that.
you'll be able to kill the boss.
Coming
The
at ya.
bosses in Metroid Prime are not like they've never been like the most like epic fights. I would say probably the best boss in Metroid Prime history is probably the original Metroid Prime itself,
Everything.
and the last Ridley fight, the best boss fights in the series. The last Ridley fight,
You're not able
Metroid
to
Prime 1 and
target
Metroid
or
Prime
lock
itself,
onto
and then in
Admiral's
Metroid Prime 2,
points, so there it is.
Quadraxis.
Strike three. Nice.
And Metroid Prime 3, not really too many memorable boss fights. The very last boss, I think was it Meta Ridley or something? Maybe.
Good. Looking good. No, no, no.
Oh, another one. Yeah, he really wants
Yeah,
to
you
give you a
really
hug.
Metroid Prime is not really about the big epic boss fights though. It's more about the immersion and the exploration, the upgrading, puzzle solving.
Now I'm just gonna use some
But definitely the boss fights are fun
Yeah,
though.
yeah.
one more weakness spot. I'm shooting
I do like the Dark Samus fights, but I don't think they're like
Oh,
that
is this,
like
is this the finisher?
very memorable.
What are you gonna do? Get bottom through.
That's just my opinion. Oh, Omega Ridley, thank you.
Dodge, fire, looking good. Jump up, charge, my shot, lock on, fire, oh, miss. Missile,
Oh,
there we go.
yay, you did it. It's tough.
That was a tough boss
Glorified
fight.
puzzles.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right.
The gauge, where to aim
That
for
is
the view
one of the
all
fun parts
five
of these boss fights. It's
which is a lot of fun.
fights,
Now, artifact safe
boss
There's
experiences.
the man himself.
now?
And there's Silex.
Thank you, RS Jaguar. Yeah, without emulation, finally.
Very curious.
Yeah. I'm sure we'll find out more about this interesting alliance.
Silux.
You can see the battles going on back and forth.
That was one of the things we got to highlight too. This part has been upgraded graphically. I saw this on Twitter. Silux is going to come in and he's going to blow through this door. Yeah, the reflection is there on the Switch version too, but I think that's just an art asset baked in. Yeah, let me see. Yep. Better lighting. Different lighting too. See the light here? This is the Switch version. It's like glowing here. Now the light is more has like these streaks in it now over here. And it'll likely change depending on the angle that you're at, which might mean it's more of a realistic type of light source instead of just adding bloom to it. This is what they did on GameCube and Metroid Prime 3 a lot on the Wii. They just added bloom to light sources to make it look like it's a real light. Whereas in this they may actually be having more realistic light sources. You can see on Samus's back. the light is actually different. Switch 1, switch 2. Switch 1, switch 2. Switch 1, switch 2. Nice. Okay, shadow looks pretty much the same. Yep. But that's not all. Let's fast forward a little bit. Okay. Switch 1. Let's go to switch 2. Okay, I'll pause it in a second here. Do your thing. All right. Switch 1. What do you notice missing? This is a switch 1 version. Now they do a good job here of making it seem like there's a lot going on because of this. Looks like they have more like smoke here to cover up the ground. But on switch 2, the smoke has been kind of moved to the sides, and the debris, more debris and rocks have been added. Like this stuff, I don't think is in the switch 1 version. Let's see. Yeah, that's there. This is more detailed in switch 2. There's more debris, more rocks in the ground. This, I don't even think this is in the switch 1 version. Yeah, this not even there. Completely added geometry in the switch 2 version. Yeah, confirmed. What do you notice about the space pirates? Switch 1 version, they look less dynamic with their lights. This might just be a case of them of being an early version of the game. Maybe they'll add like more lighting to them on the Switch 1 version too, but like it looks like they have more dynamic lighting on the space pirates. Interesting. I don't see any real like shadows much here. Maybe a little bit, kinda. But here you got shadows. Look, coming right from Silex. So he's a towering figure. Switch 1, more smoke, less objects. Yeah, I don't think this is a reflection on the floor, Steven guy. I think this is a shadow. Yeah, it's a shadow. See, it's moving. Okay, let's Switch 1 version. Mind you, for Switch 1, this looks amazing, but Switch 2, obviously, what are you going to do? I don't see any shadow here at all. A little bit of a shadow. Tiny, tiny, tiny shadow. It's like a tiny little shadow right there. Switch 2, it's like full on shadow. Wow. Switch 1. Yeah, a lot more basic on Switch 1. You never can know until you see an actual comparison, really, right? Like when you first see this trailer on Switch 1, you're blown away by it because you don't know what they could add to it because you're seeing it just in isolation. And in isolation, it looks great because you don't really your mind's not really thinking about, hey, maybe they can add more debris everywhere, because they do have debris here. It's just less of it. See what I'm saying? Look at that. And they have the cutscenes, the real-time cutscenes are in letterbox format. In the original, they're not in letterbox. I think they'll probably change that for the final version, though. You can actually see more texture here too of the actual building in the background. This pirate actually has light coming and lighting up his arm blaster. Nothing here in these guys. Nada. More debris. You get like a wider angle here too. All right, let's move on. Let's see if we can get a close up and see what we can see here. He's gonna come in right there. Okay, switch 1, switch 2. Looks like better lighting maybe on his, better lighting like sheen. Maybe pretty much the same. Could just be that it's darker. It's like his texture has been changed on his head. It looks like rubber here. Here it looks like more varied. And it doesn't look like there's any texture here at all. Switch 2, there's definitely a texture here. Better, it's just better lighting, you could tell. All right. There's Samus. Okay, switch 1. This is probably not going to look that much different because it's up close stuff. They can put more detail. Switch 1, switch 2. Switch 1, switch 2. This might be more detail on switch 2. That might just be a case of having better resolution though. Yeah, pretty much the same. But for the Samus model, they obviously are going to put the most detail on either version to make it look the best it can. So, but yeah, this is the same visor, same little thing up here. Interesting. Okay. This next part though is that we haven't seen, that it's not in the actual
Find out more
original
about
trailer.
this interesting alliance.
You see the battles going on back and forth.
Ooh, straight for the artifact.
You best not miss what come up for Samus.
There's the artifact.
So you can see the artifact now was hit, and it caused it to react to that.
Something happens and everyone gets basically, I guess, teleported.
Ooh, straight for the
We'll find out
artifact.
in the final game, of course.
Best not miss what come up for Samus.
Interesting alliance.
All right, let's watch this in slow-mo. I know I missed something. Reflections here. Yeah, I don't think those are real reflections, because you're not seeing anything happening like in front of her in her visor. Like you'd be seeing pirates like firing and stuff. Great job though. It looks beautiful either way. Wow. Hmm. Very cool. This looks more metallic. Yeah. Well, I mean, like I said, guys, I don't know. They're using some kind of light source reflections. I don't think they're full on like true ray trace reflections. They're using some type of like reflections that are showing difference of light in the area, but not full on reflections in her helmet. Watch her helmet here. You'll see when she turns her head. I noticed the blue light goes and reflects into her helmet when she turns to her left. See that? Right here. So when you go back a little bit, that blue light is not there. So I think they're using a little bit of reflection, right? It might just be for certain things. Yeah, when she turns her head, the actual light kind of moves and changes with her helmet. So it might just be some light sources that get reflected, like light points. It's a common trick too, without actually doing like full on reflections and ray tracing and stuff. Okay. Those little details though are so cool to notice, and to know that Retro Studios has gone the extra mile in putting them in there is really impressive. Turns her head. Light shines in her helmet. Yep, light shines in her face. Blue light. So yeah, I think they're doing the same trick from Metroid, from the previous Metroid games, where they will have the actual light sources light up the areas. They've been doing that since GameCube, but it's always looked beautiful, always. And yeah, just about it. Ooh, look at that. All right, Metroid Prime 2, say hello, right? Again, another great use of chromatic aberration. I said this before in Metroid Prime Remastered, when you go underwater, it uses chromatic aberration to make it look distorted. Perfect use of chromatic aberration here, right? See that? That's what you want. I don't need this effect when I'm playing the game. A lot of these games will do this effect while you're playing a game, just to give it this kind of weird like artistic look. I don't need that. When it makes sense to use, great, but don't put this on your game all the time like some of these developers do. No, yeah, this is not full motion. This is not CG. This is all real time. You can tell. Because you can see some of the jaggies, and everything. You can tell it's not CG. Even in 4K, by the way, you're still gonna get some jaggies. That's just how it works. Minute jaggies. You won't notice it. I'm playing it in slow motion. This is CG right here. See this? They have all kinds of motion blur, all kinds of crazy objects on the screen. This is CG. They're using the in-game models but they're putting them into a very high quality, high bit rate CG cutscene. Very cool. This is real time. This is not CG. The other part was. You can totally tell if you watch this in blown up on your full screen, you can tell. Yeah, this is real time. The other part was CG. Nice. Awesome. All right. That's it for Metroid Prime. Amazon. Okay. All right, guys. Let's talk about the price stuff real quick. Hope you guys are doing well. Okay. So, anyway, I hate to be the kind of guy that tells you I told you so, because it's not really like, ooh, you were right about it being $450 to $499. That's not something I want to be right about, but I kind of called this a couple years ago. Let me show you this really quick. So, back on the when I guessed it over 2 years ago in the beginning of 2023. I was on the Nintendo Prime podcast and I pretty much called it. So yeah, let's check this out really quick. I'll show you what I mean.
Like, how does the pricing work?
$499.
Well, but $500. Yeah, but
yeah, I called it $599 back then. Watch.
How does the pricing work?
$499.
Well, but $500. Yeah, but that's the thing that what that tells you is that for years.
Guess what system's outselling the Switch right now at $499? It's the PS5. So if you have a next generation I'm talking about full next generation experience.
Yeah,
you get all the ports. You get games like Resident Evil 4 Remake that look good enough, like close enough type thing on the go, like Steam Deck, for example. Yeah, they can charge $499 for that. Maybe another SKU that's $399 or $450. But yeah, I do really think they could go that route. I know it may sound too expensive, but people are willing to buy it if it's worth it to them. If it looks really good.
If the Nintendo Switch. Oh, sorry, Nate. Go ahead.
No, I'm just saying.
I hate to say it, this is almost sounding like a PlayStation Vita 2 concept here. Like $499 is insane to me. Like Nintendo firmly believes in hitting mass market critical price points. Yes, the PlayStation 5 is selling extremely well at $499. Like that's just.
I'm just saying that the possibilities are there. You never know.
Maybe everyone on this show would buy a $499, but we're not the average person buying Switches.
Would they go that far into having two different SKUs of the Nintendo Switch too?
Do you guys remember back?
It all depends on what they offer in the box. If that's what counts the most. Is what they're offering the consumer. If it's just a marginal little upgrade, then no. Like I want it to be free. I'm just saying, like how much these chips cost them to make, how much that technology would cost. I'm saying that it's possible they could offer something that's awesome enough that would be worth it for that cost. Yeah. So, yeah, guys, I'm not surprised at the cost of the Switch 2. Now, you could argue that it's still way too much, but like the reason why I was thinking they would actually go with $4.99 is because of the market was accepting $4.99 as the new almost as a new mass market price for the value of the PlayStation 5. PlayStation 5 at the time, before Sony screwed things up with their management, PlayStation 5 at the time, it's still selling well, by the way. It's still on par around the same range as PS4. But PlayStation 5 was actually outselling the Switch 1 at that time when it came out in the first couple of years. So it was like people were treating it almost like a mass market price. And I was like, uh-oh, I think Nintendo may actually go with $4.99 for Switch 2 because I was hoping for $3.99. I've said it so many times. I was hoping they would go with $3.99, but I was afraid that they would actually go for $4.99 because of the value that they see on the Switch, and because they did not see that big of a drop of sales in the Switch 1 for them to warrant lowering the price. So unfortunately, you can't really market, how can you market a next generation console for $3.99 when you're still selling the Switch OLED at $350? That's not a very good. You're not showing your customers that you're valuing your products in the correct way. It makes no sense. So they would either have to be forced to lower the Switch 1 price to $250 and the OLED to $299, or $199, $250, and then release Switch 2 at $399, or they could be like, how about we just not lower the price of Switch 1 or Switch OLED and charge a premium price because the PlayStation 5 sold for $499 and sold like gangbusters and was sold out. Why don't we do that as long as we display 4K 60 frames per second, HDR, VRR support, 120 frames per second, LCD screen, 7.9 inches. Oh, it can play Cyberpunk 2077 as long as we can display to the consumer that we can play next generation games. Let's go ahead and charge the same price as PlayStation 5, but we'll also bundle it with Mario Kart. And I think, they obviously talked about this, and this is going to fly off the shelves. We'll talk about price change, whatever tariff thing in a second, but I think that's the mindset Nintendo had. You sell 150 million Switch 1 consoles. The audience is there for 8 years. The value proposition of a $4.99 Switch 2 that plays next generation games, next generation Mario Kart, next generation, titles, ports like Elden Ring and Cyberpunk 2077, Final Fantasy 7 Remake, Street Fighter 6, the next Donkey Kong, the next Metroid Prime 4, what have you. And people are like, I've been I'm not going to talk much about that stuff, but don't worry. You'll see what I mean in a second. The value proposition of the Switch 1 customer is very high because they see that Nintendo supported Switch 1 so strongly that $4.99 actually seems like a good value mentally. Which is why everyone in this chat, most likely, most people that I've seen that are not the rage bait YouTuber, has been okay with the price of the console. The games, some people have an issue with because of certain things. Let me see here. Thank you for the super chat, Maz Vids. Nintendo's pushing back into tech now. The Xbox is fading the hardware scene. Yeah, PlayStation and Nintendo are the only competitions now. It's back. It's very much going back into the N64, PlayStation 1 days. There was Saturn and there was Dreamcast, but those were not really competitive. Okay. And, like I said before, if if you're the type of person who just wants to complain and stomp your feet and just like scream and yell about everything, this is not the place for you. I'm not gonna placate to people who are, you know, woe is me. I got to pay money for a new next generation console that Nintendo is coming off of 8 years of supporting Switch 1. Yeah, you're not going to get any sympathy from me. But here is Mario Kart World. Learn more. Let's turn on our Metroid music again. All right, so yeah, Mario Kart World. This is Nintendo's Grand Theft Auto 6. Let's just be honest. Sadly, they could have charged you $100 for this game and you would have bought it day one. That's how they know why they can charge you $79.99. It has nothing to do with anything but that. They know you will buy this game. Plus, they also know Mario Kart 8. How much did it sell in the chat? Let me know. It was like 60. Is it like 60 something million? Right? Maybe it's more than that. Somebody look it up for me and let me know in the chat. How much did Mario Kart 8 Deluxe sell? When you add in the Wii U version of Mario Kart 8, I believe it's probably over 70 million copies sold of that game, right? So 8K, no, like I think 8 million on Wii U, right? Not 8K. So, guess what? You bought Mario Kart Deluxe. Not you, but most people. For the layman, let's say the majority of Switch users, over almost half the install base of the Switch, purchased Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. Guess what Nintendo also released? They basically released a second half of the game for another $50, right? How much did the expansion DLC cost for Mario Kart 8 Deluxe? Wasn't it $50 total? Was it $25? I probably should look that up, huh? Just to be safe. But anyway, you guys can look it up. Anyway, it was $25. Okay. $25. $25 plus $60, that's $85, right? So they already know you're willing to pay like $80 for Mario Kart. Free with NSO, yeah. Here's the thing. They sold Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, they say without the expansion. In May, I think they launched it in May, a month after the Switch, or 2 months after the Switch came out, right? Or was it April of 2017? For the life of the console, they sold Mario Kart 8. People bought it continually as an evergreen title. The attach rate was so high, everyone loved the game. And they show Mario Kart World with this insane amount of content in it. They know you're going to be playing Mario Kart World for the life of the Switch 2, which could be another 8 years. Do you think that the value of $79.99 is there? If you don't think it is, then don't buy it. I think personally that the value of this cost actually will definitely pay for itself over the 8 years or so of what the Switch 2 will be around for. Is it greedy by Nintendo? Yes, I would say. Is the value there for the consumer? Yes, I would say. So, can I understand why they charge this much? Yes, I do. Is it a bit much? Yes, it is. But I get it. I understand that the value is there and they know it's going to sell for the life of the console and everyone's going to buy it and they know they're going to make their money from this. So I can't fault them for charging $80 for a game that's going to give you 300 hours of gameplay. You're going to be people are going to be playing this at least for 300 hours, maybe 500. I know I played Mario Kart 8. I played Mario Kart 8 on the Wii U from 2014, and then the Switch version I played for a couple years. I got tired of it after like 5 years, personally. But I must have put in over 300 hours, if not more, in that game. And so yeah, are you going to get your value proposition from Mario Kart World? Absolutely. So personally, I can't fault them for charging this much. Would I like it to be a free game? Absolutely. But I live in the real world. So, and that's not going to happen. Okay. Donkey Kong Bonanza. Available July 17th. Only on Switch 2. Another amazing looking game. Now this game, Nintendo was charging $69.99, which is a current generation price. At least if I could find it. It's here somewhere. I think it's at the bottom. Yeah, here it is. So $69.99 is the price of the game, which is the same price as a same price as a first-party studio Sony game or any AAA third-party developer game for PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X and S. Same exact price. Welcome, Soul Nippon. This is what I expect to be the norm, actually. I don't expect, personally, Mario Kart World prices to be the norm. I think this will be the norm for the prices, which is in line with what other consoles are doing. Now, before you go and say, well, what about these other games I saw for $79.99? You mean this stuff? You mean this? And you mean this? And this? All right, so here I'm not saying these prices are fake, but Nintendo has not actually released official pricing on that stuff on their webpage. There's nothing there. New games on Nintendo's own page. You got to go by what Nintendo tells you. Kirby Air Riders, Metroid Prime 4. So the only games you can choose to learn more about are these two. Okay? So, but these might be real though, and the reason why these don't really count, I would say don't buy this, because if you already have the Switch version of these games, say this is real, right? These include two games. These include the original Nintendo Switch game on a cart and the Nintendo Switch 2 Edition upgrade pack. Upgrade pack also available separately. So they're selling these things in a bundle, which is really strange. I don't know why they did this. Yeah, so that's what it says here. We shall see if this is the real thing. So it sounds like if you already own this game, if you already own these games on the Switch, it sounds like these are going to be $10 upgrades or $20 upgrades for Switch 2, which is $10 is reasonable. That's exactly what PlayStation charges, and you're getting better graphics and frame rate. Zelda Breath of the Wild includes the Nintendo Switch game and the Nintendo Switch 2 Edition upgrade pack for $69.99. So that's a $10 upgrade, I would say. So we don't know certain details yet. So say, for example, you buy this, you buy the digital version of the Switch 2 edition, it's not going to include the original game because you're just buying the Switch 2 edition. So, and this is on Walmart's page, okay? It's on Walmart's page, so it's not actual pricing from Nintendo's page themselves. So yeah, so we need to wait and see exactly how they're going to offer that. But if you already own Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom and Kirby Forgotten Land, you completely ignore this. Don't even pay attention. This is not what you're going to be paying for these games or for these upgrades. Bravely Default Remaster, $39.99. Street Fighter 6, $59.99. Sounds like reasonable pricing to me. But Donkey Kong, $69.99. That's what I expected. So this stuff is weird. I'll just be honest with you. I don't know about this stuff. It's weird. I own these games already. I'm not really into Kirby. I'm not worried about that. But I already own these games. So my upgrade path is going to be free because I do have Switch Online, so I don't got to pay anything for these upgrades. Or if I didn't have it, I'll pay $10 to $20. Is that these are confirmed, by the way, to be running at 4K 60 frames per second on the Switch 2. Does anybody have a problem paying $10 or $20 for that type of upgrade? If you do, don't buy it. Just play the original. If you don't, I would say that's a pretty good deal. Okay? Again, we have no information from Nintendo about that exactly. How much they're going to cost individually. What if you already own the game? How are you going to sell them physically? Walmart seems to have a leg up on this. Again, though, case by case basis and very, very niche cases. You're not going to have all these games costing $79.99 like that. These are specifically having two versions of the game inside the package. I do think first-party games, regular releases, are going to cost $69.99. Metroid Prime 4 will probably be $59.99, or they'll probably sell the Switch 2 version for $69.99. You buy the Switch 1 version for $59. That's my guess. If you already are, like I said, an online member, you get so much stuff for free. And the online membership doesn't cost that much. Yes, it's not great, but with the expansion pass with GameCube coming, it all of a sudden became really good, I would say. So if it was it $50 a year with GameCube, they didn't announce a price increase yet. If they do raise the price, I don't know, man. But we don't know. We can't get upset about the unknowns. So if you're going crazy and stomping your feet about unknowns, then this is not the place for you. So, yeah. So real quickly on the pre-order situation. Again, let's go back to Nintendo's website. Has Nintendo said anything about the pre-orders for Switch 2? How to buy the Switch 2. Register your interest to buy from my Nintendo store. Sign into your Nintendo account and register, and which I've already done, by the way. You should do that too. I registered my interest for this one. So it says total of 50 gameplay hours as of April 2nd. Doesn't say anything about pre-ordering on April 9th here. That's what retailers were informed of. Yes, I believe what they say. Yes, I believe that they delayed pre-orders from April 9th, but Nintendo never actually announced a date themselves to their customers. They say, stay tuned later for when you can pre-order for a later date. They never actually announced any date. That was retailers saying that Nintendo told us they delayed pre-orders. Okay, great. Nintendo hasn't actually told me anything. and Nintendo's reevaluating because they don't know about they're not sure if they need to raise the price or not. So what do you see online? Everyone go crazy. Oh my gosh, they're going to raise the price. No, they didn't announce anything. They did not announce anything. The only thing Nintendo announced was the price was $4.99 for Mario Kart Bundle. Release date June 5th. $4.50 for the regular console. You'll hear about pre-order plans for later. My personal opinion is that they will not actually raise the price. The reason why I say that is because they've already announced the price. For them to actually come back and raise the price after their stock has already dropped, after they already announced the $500 price point. Nintendo's stock has already dropped quite a bit since they revealed Switch 2 because the reaction to the price was not that great. Fan base is really excited, of course. Everyone's going to buy it. We already know that. It's going to be very successful. But investors didn't like the higher price, and investors didn't like some of the higher prices for like Mario Kart, for example. So they pulled out and sold stock. Right after that, the whole tariff thing went into practice, and they said, "Oh, we're going to reevaluate." There was a report on Twitter from David Gibson saying that Nintendo had already planned ahead of time to include the tariffs in their pricing, which they estimated was 20%, not 46%. But that's this hearsay from a guy who is not Nintendo. Nintendo hasn't told you anything. Okay, so we don't know. But as Bears brought out, the whole tariff thing is, there have already been reports. We know Nintendo's doing stuff in Vietnam. The same day, Vietnam announced that they want to come to a deal with the United States so they don't have to have these tariffs. Because they were charging United States 90% or something like that on importing goods. U.S. was not charging anything. U.S. decided to charge 46% or reciprocal tariff. Again, not politics, economics. Okay, forget it. But Vietnam was like, no, okay, we don't want that. So now they were going to come to the discussion table, and that all that stuff might just go away. Which is why I said earlier, if you want to come here and stomp your feet and be upset about a what if, you should just leave right now. Because I don't deal in what ifs. I want facts. Okay? Especially with this situation. We don't know, and we just have to wait and see if what Nintendo does. I'm not personally worried about it. I think it's going to be just fine. People love to get upset about what ifs and they want to jump and scream and point. That takes a lot of energy to be so negative and angry about something that's not even for sure, and something that Nintendo hasn't even talked about. So I suggest just chill, relax, and look forward to Switch 2 on June 5th, because that's when it's coming. We know for a fact. So yeah, I'm excited. Let's go ahead and open it up to Q&A. That's all I had to say about that. All right. Okay, guys. Let me get set up here. Everybody hit that like button for me. Thank you so much so far. Wow, yeah, very good. Good job. Super level-headed idiot. Okay. People have a lot of questions. I know I try to cover everything the best I could. So, hey, what's up, Yanko? So yeah, Cherryman Gaming, Yanko, Tommy, Cart, Tony, Bears, Silhouette Sith, Sithouette Sith, Mad Vids, DD Stuff, Ruben, Boston Samus, Nixie, Alcove Shadow, Skipler, Brando, Stephen Guy, Sateri, Louise, Pablo, Chill Tunes, Metroid Prime is here. Oh, wow, welcome Metroid Prime. DD Stuff, Organic Coffee, K7, Wilbur, OP, and anyone else, GWX, old kid, live Jen. Oh yeah, you're one of me. Fruitless Fiddle, Darth OP, welcome buddy. Sean Arthur. Anybody else I missed? Thanks for coming. What do you think the chance to Switch 2 to have the same 8-year length lifespan of Nintendo's yeah, Switch 1? I think it's a really good chance. Technology has advanced. Technology has advanced, guys. Nintendo's coming into the same world of the good stuff. Let's see. Maybe I will, let's see, play this in the background while we talk. Yeah. Yeah, Nintendo has upgraded. They really needed to get more ports, to get longevity for their console. Switch 1 was outdated from day one, so they were gonna have trouble getting games, which led to them really pushing hard their first party games in the first year, and it worked well for them. And third parties started making transformative third party ports, miracle ports. That's when you saw the miracle ports. But as we saw earlier with Cyberpunk 2077, that's not a miracle port. That's just a port. That was CD Projekt Red getting the dev kit and saying, "Oh, it just works. It took us 7 weeks to make this port run. That was really easy. Thank you, Nintendo. Let's get this out on day one for Switch 2." Hey. If I said Switch 1, I meant Switch 2. Anyway. Metroid Prime 2 and 3 Remaster, they just announced... Well, yeah, they announced GameCube games coming to Switch 2 online, but they could easily release Switch remasters of Metroid Prime 2 and 3 1 month before the release of Metroid Prime 4. They didn't announce the release date of Metroid Prime 4 yet. So, just like with Pikmin 1 and 2 HD, they released those 1 month before the release of Pikmin 4 as like a shadow drop. So unfortunately, that might be what we're getting. I can't see why they wouldn't. It doesn't look like they're going to put that much effort into it if so. But yes, I do think we'll get those. Another super chat, I think. Yeah. Mad Vids, thank you for the $5 super chat. I, for one, am pumped that Nintendo's finally getting back into a competitive mode when it comes to tech. We've been in the back seat for too long. And like I said earlier, buddy, sometimes they line up with what you like as a gamer, and sometimes they don't. Switch 1 didn't necessarily line up with everything that I liked as a gamer, which made it one of my lesser favorite Nintendo consoles, was because it wasn't really giving me the experiences that I wanted to play. Because it was such a lower powered system, it wasn't able to get newer games. But it did give me Metroid Prime Remastered, Metroid Dread, which was fantastic, and Tears of the Kingdom and Breath of the Wild, fantastic games. Don't get me wrong, Mario Odyssey. But it's not one of my favorite Nintendo consoles. I could care less about sales numbers. I care about experiences, okay? Granted, I do think Switch 2 is going to sell like insane. But that's neither here or there, because I'm about the experience. I want to be interested fully into and invested into the console, and so far I am with Switch 2. Organic Coffee, would GTA 6 be a miracle port for Switch 2? Oh, by the way, yeah, make sure you tag me in the chat, or I'm gonna miss your question. Please tag me at Super Metal Dave 64 in the chat, and I will be able to see your question better. Okay? Or if you do send me a super chat, I will be able to see that, obviously. But I'm not asking for money. You know me. I don't ask for money ever. I appreciate it though, and your donations will help with the channel in terms of getting better equipment, games, and giveaways. I am doing a giveaway for Metroid Prime 4. If you guys haven't heard already, we will be giving away that game probably twice. Maybe once on launch day, and then again maybe the following week or something. We'll see. You could be a lucky winner of Metroid Prime 4. Darth OP, in my opinion, Metroid Prime 2 and 3 will get the same kind of remaster Metroid Prime 1 got, and that they will be released within the gap between Metroid Prime 4 and 5. What do you think? Wow, you really think they're going to be released after Metroid Prime 4? I just don't see it. I see them going the easy route and just HDifying them and releasing them 1 month before Metroid Prime 4 comes out. Those are both the least selling Metroid Prime games, less than Metroid Prime 1. And Nintendo knows they need to get the rest out, and that's the easiest way to do it. That's what I see them doing, so I can't say I necessarily agree. Organic Coffee, you asked about GTA 6. If it can run on Xbox Series S, then yes, I think Switch 2 will get a port. It may be a 30 frames per second port of GTA 6 because of how vast and big the open world is. But the Xbox Series S will probably be a 30 frames per second port too. That system is not that... has issues. So if they've already confirmed it for Xbox Series S, then yes, I do believe Switch 2 will be getting GTA 6 as well, as long as Rockstar wants to port it to Nintendo. You will see GTA 6 on Switch 2. If Rockstar doesn't want to port it, which I can't see why they wouldn't want to, then you won't. But I do think there's an extremely good chance that it's going to get GTA 6. Take a drink here. Been talking for a bit. OP, when do you think Prime 4 will release? My thought is September. I agree with you. I think September is a great month for Metroid Prime 4. You give Donkey Kong and Mario Kart a couple months to breathe. Then you hit them hard with Metroid Prime 4 in September, getting ready for fall, and then you hit them hard again with your next big holiday game after that, and you're good. Yeah, I see Oscar, you asked that question too. Remember to tag me in the chat. I'm not going to see your questions. Alcove Shadow, Nintendo used their billions of dollars of hard cash to fund development on the Dusk Bloods, while Sony threw away $400 million on Concord. Oh, that's not a question. I thought you were gonna send me a question. Dusk Bloods, I'm not really excited for anymore because I found out it was a multiplayer only game, and unfortunately, that's not what I like From Software games for. They have some of the worst, like, their online infrastructure is terrible in their games. So, granted, that's cool, but it may just not be for me. I'd rather them come out with a single player like Bloodborne spiritual successor, which is what I thought it was. I was like, oh my gosh, that might be a Bloodborne spiritual successor, but nope, it's a multiplayer game. I'm not saying it's not going to be a great game. It probably will be, but it maybe it's won't be for me. I could be wrong though. I might try it. You thought it was weird how Rockstar didn't port GTA 5 to Switch, Organic Coffee? I thought it was kind of weird too, but with seeing how anemic the Switch is with its how slow its memory is and CPU problems, they still could have done it though. Yeah, I'm not buying it either. I think they still could have done it. But they did port GTA 3 and Vice City and San Andreas to Switch. So there is definitely some hope there that GTA 6 will come, regardless of that fact of no GTA 5. Because we know the Switch 2 can run the game. Literally, we know it can. Do you have any Switch 2 Monolith info, RPX? I do not. I do have some hopes, though. I hope Monolith will release like a new Golden Sun on Switch 2 in a Final Fantasy VII Remake-esque type of way. That's a huge ask. I understand that, and they're all like deep into Xenoblade stuff. But they are now a Nintendo first-party developer, and Golden Sun could use a revival, and I think people will be really excited for that. I hope they do something like that. If not, then sure, I'm sure the next Xenoblade game will look incredible on Switch 2. Let's just be honest. After seeing Xenoblade Chronicles X, and we know it's going to have a 60 frames per second update on Switch 2, I'm sure whatever they put out is going to be fantastic. Oscar, hope you're doing well, by the way. Nice to see you. Are the Switch 1 games being emulated by on Switch 2? Any truth to that? Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's one thing I didn't really cover much. I don't really care how they're making them run on the Switch, but I think we talked about this before. They were gonna have to be emulated on Switch 2 either way, because the Switch 1 is a different architecture, and it's from 2015. Switch 2 is using Ampere, NVIDIA Ampere, which is the RTX 3000 series GPUs. Maxwell, I think Maxwell wasn't it with the 900 series, I think? Back in 2014 for NVIDIA. Different CPU also. It's so old. Excuse me. So old they had to use something else. Sorry. But yeah, they said in their developer question and answer developer roundtable that they had to run everything in a different way to make these Switch 1 games work. So yeah, they're being emulated, but this is Nintendo's emulation we're talking about here. So it's going to be improvements across the board, and when it runs in BC mode, it's going to be still emulating it. It's going to be like PlayStation 5 running PS4 games. They're not actually running them natively. They are still emulating those as well, but it's like a software layer that's finely tuned to the console. It's not like trying to do it on a PC where some fan makes an emulator and it gets to run. Highly modified and optimized emulation being done and make it look just like you're playing the original game. Darth OP, I'm kind of confused on how. Oh, did I skip somebody? I think I skipped down too far. I'm sorry, guys. Give me 1 second. Let me go back up. My chat jumped all the way down to the bottom. Oh, okay. Bears. Do you think external hard drives will be supported? No. If you mean like the lame kind, then no. I don't know. They support micro SD Express and they have internal storage, but they haven't announced anything for Switch 2 that anything else would be supported. So I don't know. It may not be able to. I remember on the Wii U, you could Am I looping that? Yeah. Remember on the Wii U, you could actually plug in a USB hard drive and it would work. But they didn't actually say anything about that in their presentation, so I don't know. We'll have to wait and see, buddy. Darth OP, do you think after the Switch 2 there will be Nintendo will come out with a Switch 3, or do you think they'll come up with something completely different? It depends. Depends on how Switch 2 goes, but it's looking good. I don't see why they would stop making the Switch brand at this point anytime soon. It all depends on the interest, and if something happens with sales, which I can't see this thing not selling well, I think they will continue with the Switch 3. If they completely reinvent everything, they may be in danger of losing audience attention. And the Switch is such a great concept, I just can't see them stopping it anytime soon. And again, that's like maybe 8 years from now, at least. We just don't know. Boston Salmons, I really think F-Zero is the next Resurrection. What do you think? Maybe. I'm hoping for Star Fox and F-Zero. So they are releasing F-Zero GX on the GameCube online service with full HD. I think it's at least 1080p, right? And widescreen support. So you don't have to worry about your little icon in the corner anymore, thank goodness. So F-Zero, I think, will eventually get a new game, and Star Fox also. We've heard rumors about Star Fox returning. We might get Star Fox first, and then maybe an F-Zero game later. We'll see. But my fingers are crossed. I don't know for sure if they will fully go through with a new F-Zero. The only rumors are about a new Star Fox game. F-Zero hasn't been touched since 2003 for a brand new console game. I hope so, though. Please, Nintendo. Do you believe there will be a Switch 2 edition of Xenoblade Chronicles S? Yes, that's already been basically confirmed by the data mining. Yes, there's going to be one. 60 frames per second, probably over 1080p, 4K-ish, whatever. Upscaling, they're probably going to do on that. So Nippon, don't forget, we'll be able to upscale it from Metroid Prime 4 and have it at 4K 120 frames per second instead of 60. True. That's an interesting thought. I might give that a shot. Streaming it, though, nobody's going to tell because you can't stream 120 frames per second. 4K 60 is going to be the way to go. One, you're saying this is the first system that didn't have a first new Mario Adventure game without launch. That's not true. Were you not here for the Switch launch? Switch came out with Zelda Breath of the Wild and Mario Kart. Like a month or two later. The new Mario game didn't come out until the end of the year in 2017, so it didn't actually launch with it. It came out holiday. But you are right in the sense that they didn't announce a new Mario, they announced a Donkey Kong. But Mario Kart's got them set. Like, they don't need a new Mario right now with Mario Kart there. It's going to drive sales like crazy, but that's not to say they're not going to announce the new Mario soon. They could announce it in summertime. Nintendo already announced that there's going to be a Mario Kart World Direct in just a few weeks. They announced it at the Treehouse the other day. So there's going to be so many things to buy. If they announce a new Mario right now, it could actually hurt sales of the software because Nintendo already has so many things for you to buy that's not the new Mario. Metroid Prime 4, Mario Kart World, Donkey Kong Bonanza, Cyberpunk 2077, Final Fantasy VII Remake, all this stuff. It's crazy. Let me switch back to this really quick. I'm going to get something else ready to show you guys. So, Final Fantasy VII Remake, by the way. Final Fantasy VII Remake on the Nintendo Switch 2. Is interesting. And I'll show you why. Okay, let me get past this stupid thing. Man, YouTube is so annoying sometimes. Okay. This is from the same guy. Make sure you subscribe to CYCU1. This is the same guy who showed us the Cyberpunk 2077 PS5 comparison. You may say, well, what? How can you know exactly how good the Switch 2 version of Final Fantasy is going to be if you from this footage? Well, I'll tell you why. So this is the PlayStation 5 version of Final Fantasy VII Remake Intergrade, not vanilla PS4. Right? Here's the Nintendo Switch 2 version of Final Fantasy VII Remake Intergrade. Now, you know why I'm saying that in a second. Okay. Looks very similar to the PS5 version. In fact, it looks basically exactly the same. Why is that? Because it's based on the PlayStation 5 version, not the PlayStation 4 version. That's why. You say, well, aren't they the same thing? No, they're not the same thing. I'm going to show you. Final Fantasy VII Remake Intergrade. That's why they didn't release Final Fantasy VII Remake Intergrade on PlayStation 4. PS5 versus PS4 enhancements. Yeah, they improved the lighting, textures, and they added like, of course, the frame rate too. Yeah, just a list of stuff. Final Fantasy VII Remake Intergrade on PS5 offers significant visual and performance improvements over PS4, including 4K resolution in graphics mode, 60 frames per second in performance mode, enhanced textures, lighting, loading times, and a new Yuffie focus expansion intermission. Okay. Textures receive notable a boost, especially in areas like Sector 7 slums with improved detail resolution. Lighting is improved. Better volumetric fog, global illumination, and shoutout quality. Load times are a lot faster. We know that's going to be the case with how fast Switch 2 can load stuff. Yeah. And you may say, well, how can you tell us the PS5 version from that footage? because if you compare the PlayStation 4 version to the PS5 version, you'll see that it's missing the effects. Yep. Okay. Here is PlayStation 5, I'll show you. They show you the same scene. Let me fast forward to it if I can find it. Same scene they show it on the Switch 2 and PlayStation 5. And they didn't do the exact comparison that I wanted, but basically, because they're halving the screen, that's stupid. Why do they do that? So basically, the Switch 2 version has the same effects as the PlayStation 5 version. You may not notice it as much. But let me show you. Let me see if I can get a better comparison. I want a side-by-side comparison, not a half-screen stupid thing. Okay, that and get the Switch 2 version ready. All right. Okay. Looks amazing either way. Yeah, exactly. But I want to tell you this is not actually based on the PlayStation 4 version. It's a PlayStation 5 version. PS5, PlayStation 4. You can see the lighting is different. It has global illumination in PS5. The blueness, you see the blue in the background from the lighting. This is PS4 and this is PS5. Okay? Now, go to Switch 2, PS5. Same global illumination and lighting. Yes, it's running at a lower resolution, you can tell, and it's going to be 30 frames most likely. But this is the same version as the PlayStation 5 version. It's not the PlayStation 4 version. I saw people saying the Switch 2 version of Final Fantasy VII Remake runs less than the PS4 Pro version. Well, because did you know that the Switch 2 version is based on the PS5 version? Not the PlayStation 4 Pro or PlayStation 4 version. That's why. Yep, lighting on chest too. Check it out. It's the exact same version from the PlayStation 5. Okay? And it's going to likely be getting Final Fantasy VII Rebirth and the third one too. And of course, we were talking about Cyberpunk 2077, Switch 2 versus PS4, which is great. But yeah, good stuff. Lots of message retracted stuff going on here. What is going on? Back to these questions. Thank you, Organic Coffee. Thank you for making awesome content on YouTube and live streaming. Your content is such a fresh breath of air. Thanks. Robert Powell, considering Wind Waker's on the GameCube, what do you think will happen in Twilight Princess? It's probably going to be there. Dartho P, I'm confused how the Switch 2 edition upgrades for physical games will work. Do you have to download it from online, and will it be downloaded to the physical card itself? Yeah, I think it's they said it's going to be a download. Nintendo's pushing their digital push a lot, the digital distribution. From what you notice with these game card thing and game sharing thing, it's all digital based. That's what it seems like. It sounds like they're going to release a physical edition of Metroid Prime 4 Switch 2 edition by itself, maybe in the red box. That's what it seems like, but they haven't announced pricing on that game yet, though, or a release date. Once they announce the release date, then we'll know. So let's wait and see. Remember to tag me in the chat for your questions. Mad Vids, did you have a question? You tagged me, but I don't see a question. Did my stream go down? I think I'm still here. Anything happen? I don't see my stream's still here, right? Oscar, your thoughts on physical game activation keys? I think that's dumb. I think that's stupid. It's a cop-out to not pay for a cartridge. They did that on the Switch a lot too. Mad Vids, do you think the Nintendo camera will be capable of plugging into a dock instead of the system itself? It ruins the clean look of the system sticking out of the top of the tablet. I don't know. Maybe? I imagine you'll be able to get an extension USB cable and just put it anywhere you want away from the console. I don't think that'll be an issue. Just get a USB extension cable and you're good to go. Yeah, PlayStation 5 graphics on Nintendo system. That's what we've been waiting for. Robert Powell, can't remember if you answered this from before, but thoughts on possibly getting Metroid Dread 2 Switch Edition. They didn't announce it. They did confirm that Switch 2 will run Switch 1 games in backwards compatibility mode with automatic enhancements. They didn't say what those would be. So my guess is that Switch 2 will just run Metroid Dread as it is and possibly just make it run at a native 1080p instead of like 900p from what it's at. That's my guess. We may not get a full Switch 2 edition. I hope we do, but they didn't announce anything. So I don't know if they would actually, I don't think they would actually render games in 4K with backwards compatibility. They could, but I don't see why I don't see just from a simple backwards compatibility mode with them doing that. They may just have slightly better frame rates and like put it up to its native like 1080p range that the Switch 1 did for free, and then they'll charge you for something that's 4K 60. They'll charge you a fee for that. Is my guess, and they'll patch it. Okay, what else we got? Street Fighter 6. Street Fighter 6 Switch Edition. Let's play this in the background. I'm excited for this. You may not know, but Street Fighter has a long history with Nintendo. The Super Nintendo was the first console ever in history to have Street Fighter 2 on it. You could play it at home. It would play the arcade at home. Street Fighter 2 was monumental release for the Super Nintendo. Street Fighter has a long history. So I'm really excited to see Street Fighter 6 on Switch 2, and it looks better than the Xbox Series S version. Confirmed factually, we know it does. Its textures and everything. We went over this earlier. Look at that. Factually better than Xbox Series S. Which I guess isn't saying that much these days. But yes, people were actually concerned that it would be worse than Xbox Series S. I personally think it's better in a lot of ways. Definitely image quality, more RAM. It's going to be a little bit weaker with its CPU. But I do think with certain optimizations they can do, they can negate that limitation for the Switch 2 and have a lot of games that look on par or better than Xbox Series S. Yusufid, Rebirth is a lot more demanding and drops to 360p on deck at times. How do you think it will fare on Switch 2? Way better. Switch 2 has a gigantic advantage of using DLSS, which is why this game, Street Fighter 6, looks so great. You can tell it's using DLSS here in the background. This background, I'm more impressed by this right here than I am with this. It sounds silly, but actually having line correction on this building in the background really impresses me, because that looks better than the PlayStation 5 version. PlayStation 5 has a lot of jaggies in the background, even right here. I've seen comparisons, and I'm really impressed. Street Fighter 6 does not have any DLSS capability on PC even. Capcom never put it in there. Capcom also doesn't have any DLSS for Resident Evil 4 Remake on the PC version. It's all FSR. So I'm really excited to see what they can do, Capcom, with Switch 2. What are the maximum capacity of Switch 2 cartridges? I think there are 64 gigabytes. They've already... CD Projekt Red announced that they will be launching Cyberpunk 2077 Ultimate Edition with Phantom Liberty within the game. Everything included, no downloads needed, all on one 64-bit cartridge for $69.99. I think that's a good deal. That's the same cost, by the way, that they charge for the PlayStation 5 version of the Ultimate Edition of Cyberpunk 2077 on the PSN. It's $70, okay? You're not getting any raised price there, or it's the same price. And the new MK from the Super SNES, yeah, exactly. Darth OP, it might be crazy. You think Federation Force would have done much better if it wasn't made for 2016, but made for 2026 instead? Yeah. If it was made for Switch 2 and they actually had a more serious art design, like actual Metroid art design instead of chibi, like cutesy, like silly stuff, it would have done a lot better if it actually looked like a Metroid game instead of it looked like something else, like another developer is making something else and they just put a Metroid title on it. That's what it looked like to me. Has the amount of RAM been confirmed? I mean, it's been confirmed by the leaks of the actual console motherboard. We know it's 12 gigabytes LPDDR5X. So it's been confirmed through the leaks of the motherboard. Do you actually rationally think GTA 6 will happen on Switch 2? Yeah. It's not, there's no rumors of it, but I think if CD Projekt Red can port Cyberpunk 2077 and get it up and running with a playable demo that runs at 1080p 30 frames per second like they did docked already in preview events in 7 weeks, and it's not a miracle port, it's just a port, then yes, I think GTA 6 will also be able to run on Switch 2. It's a matter of them actually porting it or just approving it. They've already done Grand Theft Auto 3, Vice City, and San Andreas, so I think yes, it's rational. Question is, do you want that game? If you want it, it'd be more important to you. That's probably why you ask. Brando, you're a funny guy. I like you. That's why I'm going to not kill you last. No, I'm kidding. I don't want to say that. Commando lines. Is there a blood option for Street Fighter? No. This is not that type of game. Street Fighter does have blood though. Street Fighter 6 does as well. It has like little trickles of blood on their side of their lips and stuff like that. But that's about it. Like they look like beat up, but it's not like Mortal Kombat or something. You're not gonna rip people's heads off. But yeah, this looks great, man. This looks great. This looks like Street Fighter 6. It looks... You're not missing anything. See what I'm saying? You're not missing anything with this game. looks sharper and cleaner, higher resolution than the Xbox Series S version. Like, you can't ask for anything more than this for a port. I think it's fantastic. Darth, do you know if there is a different byte sizes in the Switch 2 SD cards? And if there is, what would be the largest byte size you think we would get? Oh, the only thing they approved right now is 64 gigabytes. If they do 120 gigabytes, that's going to be one hefty, expensive cartridge. They would easily charge probably $80-$90 for a cartridge like that, maybe $100. Grand Theft Auto 6. Boston Samus, I got a scoop DINs. What does that mean? No signing off until I check back in? I don't get it. I don't know what DINs is. Oh, you gotta get dinner. Yeah, I'm probably not gonna be on for that much longer, buddy. We're at the Q&A section, which is always the end of my streams. So I'm taking your questions for a few more minutes, and then I gotta get going because I've been going for how long? A long time. Almost 3.5 hours. Do you think there's a possibility that Microsoft and Rare would bring the complete edition of Killer Instinct for Switch 2? Yes. Is it a rumor? No. Is it a possibility? Sure. I think yes, but I would love to see it. Perfect Dark, Killer Instinct, Banjo-Kazooie, Conker, they all belong on Nintendo consoles. Let's just be honest. So I hope they do. Did I see the recent MVG video? No, I don't need to either. I already know it uses emulation for Switch 1 games. But you might be late coming in. I've already known that for years now, actually, because of the architecture being different. Nintendo's not going to put another Tegra X1 processor into the Switch 2 just for emulation. It's, as you know, Ryu, Jinx, and Yuzu existed until Nintendo took them down because guess what? Emulation is super easy to do. Of the Nintendo Switch, you don't have to have the same chip in there. You can do emulation super easy. Do you think the long wait for Prime 4 will have been worth the wait? In your opinion, yes. I mean, yeah, in your opinion. Yeah. Yes. I agree. It will be worth the wait. You can already tell it is. Having dinner dins for supper. Nice. Yeah, the Switch 1 got Mortal Kombat 11 and Mortal Kombat 1. Mortal Kombat 11 was good. Mortal Kombat 1 was awful. So yeah, definitely this upgraded new Switch 2 will be able to run these games, as you could see, like how they should be. You're not going to get a compromised experience. Obviously, you're going to be getting the more baby modes. This is a baby mode they're adding to Street Fighter 6, where you be a baby. Literally, look at this. What are they doing? This is not Street Fighter. It's funny, and it's definitely not, but it's not, obviously you're going to want to play how you're supposed to play, like this, the real way. Granted, if you have some party stuff going on in your house and you want to get someone to try out Street Fighter, you're going to do the wiggle waggle, jiggle jaggle with and flow your arms around, and then you're really fighting now. Yeah, exactly. I don't care. I just think it's funny. You're gonna get these extra features on Switch 2, but they're not putting any features in the Switch 2 version that the core fighter, the core gamer who actually buys Street Fighter 6 is gonna care about. It would be nice if they put some more features that actual players of Street Fighter 6 would enjoy. But this is what they did with Street Fighter 2, Ultra Street Fighter 2 on the Switch. They added a exclusive mode that was better for casuals, which is totally fine. It would be nice if they gave some other modes too for actual players of the game. Street Fighter 6. Fortnite 120 frames per second on Switch 2. Is it? Oh, anyone know? Okay. That's funny. Wii was waggle, Switch was wiggle, Switch 2 is jiggle. I like that. Yeah. Jiggle jaggle. All right, guys. Do you have any other questions for me? If not, I'm going to have to call tonight and get some dinner myself. Mad Vids, thank you for the super chat. With Xbox doing something in the bed, there is a much greater financial incentive for third parties to get on Switch 2. There will be very few games that don't come. Yeah. I agree. Any games that don't get ported to Switch 2 would be their decision to not make money. Let's just be honest. Mexican food tonight, Olivia? No. I will be visiting. Remember, I'm not in San Diego anymore. The Mexican food out here in Illinois is garbage. It's terrible. It'll put you in the hospital. No, I'm kidding. It's just not good. I will be visiting San Diego though. Finally, on vacation in May, end of May, and I will be having that sweet, tasty, juicy, yummy carne asada tacos and burritos and chimichangas and everything. Oh man, I can't wait. I'm dying for that. Yeah, Oscar, where have you been? I've been here for over almost a year now in Illinois. I moved here due to the for various reasons, friends and family and cost of living stuff, blah, blah, blah. I'm making a lot more money out here, saving a lot more money. The weather's a little colder in the wintertime, but other than that, it's a lot better out here for me. But yeah, I'm looking forward to having, when I'm visiting California in May, next month, which I'm glad Nintendo did not release the Switch 2 in May, because I would have been really busy. When I get back, it'll be time to get the Switch 2. Oh yeah, those carne asada tacos are, oof. Ay caramba. Getting hungry. All right, final questions, guys. I gotta get going. I gotta eat. Tony Khan, I see your question. You didn't tag me though. Bad. Since the Switch 2 uses 3D audio using headphones and earbuds, do you think you'd possibly Switch 2 paddle with Samsung Cubase soundbar, Samsung 4K Smart TV? Yes. Remember, 3D audio, we discovered Nintendo was putting that in Switch 2 years ago. We did a video on it. Micro SD express cards, we discovered Nintendo was doing that factually. We did a video on it first. We revealed that last year. It's been a lot of fun discovering all the real information for the last few years about Switch 2 and having it confirmed. That's like the most rewarding thing about this journey so far. And I can't wait to play these games with you guys. Maybe we'll do a Mario Kart world multiplayer, couple multiplayer streams if you guys are interested to play with me, which I don't think we've ever done before. Or maybe I've done it before on Wii U with somebody, maybe, but that was a long time ago. They had 3D audio on the 3DS and Wii U gamepad. No, that wasn't true 3D audio. I think you're thinking of something else. But yeah, this is the real deal. PlayStation 5 has 3D audio. Switch 2 is getting with the times too. Thanks, Tony. Thank you, everybody. But yeah, do me a big favor, guys. I gotta get going. Please hit the like button for me. Let's get to 400 likes. Can we get to 400 likes before I go? We're almost there. Unless everyone watching has already hit the like button, then we can't really get there. But either way, I really appreciate you guys. We might be able to get there before I go. Thanks for all the new subscribers. Oh. Yeah. Thank you. We passed 33,000 subscribers, yeah. And then some. I was at 32.9 thousand subscribers before I posted the new video the other day. And yeah, we passed 30. We're at 33,100 subscribers already. Wow. Thanks, guys. Looks like we're 5 likes away from 400. Can we get to 400 likes? You can do it, guys. I know we'll get there after the fact. Can you mod in the future? Yeah. There you go, buddy. I made you a mod. But, I mean, I don't see you too much as I have in the past, so I guess when you are here, you'll help me out with modding. Okay, I think Solo Nippon, I'm gonna make you a mod too, because basically people that I've known for many years now, I'm making mods. Kind of sad I haven't seen Shinigami come by today. He's always here. He must be working. Poor guy. But yeah, thank you guys for your support. I'm going to head on out. Thanks for coming out for this epic stream for the Switch 2 and Metroid Prime 4. We talked about everything. By the way, I'm going to... I'll put timestamps in this live streams later on, so when you come back, you will see like what we're talking about and stuff. Where we talked about certain topics, the whole pricing thing. We did a short segment on that, but we took care of it, and I think that worked out well. And we covered specs and tech details of Switch 2 in very in depth, and Metroid Prime 4 very in depth. So I'll put timestamps and everything, timestamps in the Q&A, and then we will come back another time. I will be playing Mass Effect 2 live. We played Mass Effect 1 last year, so if you like sci-fi, if you like stuff like that, Mass Effect 2 will be coming out. Fully modded graphics, all kinds of cool gameplay mods I got going there. We'll be playing that in the hardest difficulty, and I'll be back with more videos, of course, too. All right, guys, have a great rest of your night, and I'll talk to you soon in the next video. Take care.